Chapter 522. With Yin Xiuru's help outside, these things had to be returned to their rightful owners. At the same time, Li Fan continued to move. He moved like a rabbit, his whole body as fast as lightning, leaving a black afterimage, and directly plunged into the stairwell. For an expert, 2 minutes could do a lot of things, and Li Fan only used 30 seconds to climb more than 30 floors, reaching the 108th floor. As he expected, the door of the stairwell was locked. Li Fan lightly shook open the door lock with his palm, and rushed into the 108th floor. At intervals in the corridor, there was a bodyguard in a black suit standing. Obviously, this place was under martial law, but this was also within Li Fan's calculations. He quickly turned into a shadow, and quickly flashed through the corridor. Every time he passed by a person, Li Fan's crane tap would fall on their acupuncture points, making them temporarily unconscious. At the same time, Li Fan's true qi remained in their bodies, locking their meridians, so that even if they fainted, they would still stand in the same place, unable to move. When they woke up, they wouldn't notice anything unusual. And Li Fan controlled the time. Each person would probably be unconscious for about 2 to 3 minutes. This was Li Fan's 7 Brilliance Fist, used on ordinary people because he had no other choice. Time was very tight. Li Fan took care of all the bodyguards in 30 seconds, and then began to search the rooms here one by one. When he pushed open the 10th room, Li Fan finally saw Liu Xinnan. This girl was lazily sitting on the sofa, facing the big TV in front of her, playing a PS4. And 2 female bodyguards were standing next to her, and Li Fan's moves were as fast as lightning, and with 2 crane tap, they also fell into a short sleep. Looks like you're having fun. Although time was tight, Li Fan still couldn't help but tease Liu Xinnan. Liu Xinnan saw Li Fan, but not at all surprised. Among the 10 bodyguards last time, 1 is still alive. Find him and kill him, Liu Xinnan said while playing with her PS4. Not coming with me. Li Fan frowned. I have a big family and a big business. I can't run away. We have to work together to bring down Yang Ruining and bring down that damned Dragon Hall. Liu Xinnan's eyes shone with ambition. Li Fan, do you trust me? I trust you. Wait for my news. The 2 of them only had a short conversation, which took less than 10 seconds. Li Fan immediately left the room and closed the door. He returned to the next floor and jumped out of the lower window. The sky outside was a few hundred meters high, but it was nothing to Li Fan. He stuck close to the building and fell quickly. He quickly descended and landed on the ground in the blink of an eye. The moment he landed on the ground, Li Fan launched his innate qi, bounced on the ground, and immediately leaned upwards, turned around in the air, and then lightly landed on the ground. Li Fan's qigong was extraordinary. Really good qigong, but it's still a little worse than me. Yin Xiuru landed beside Li Fan. Learn more from me in the future. Okay, learn more. Then who? Yin Xiuru looked around and didn't see Liu Xinnan. There's a change of plan. We won't bring her out. Ah! After returning, Li Fan told her what happened. Although his change of plan made Yin Xiuru unhappy, it got Ling Tian's support. Liu Xinnan did the right thing. If we rashly rescued her, it would confirm the fact that she killed the elders. So, we're going to kill his bodyguard? Li Fan asked. There's no need to kill him. It's too dangerous. Ling Tian hurriedly said, I have a drug that can make him unconscious for half a year after injection. As long as we make this bodyguard unconscious for a period of time, Miss Liu's matter will naturally be over. Even the Dragon Hall can't force Liu Shanlong's daughter to be locked up for so long. No matter what, Liu Shanlong was a military big shot. No matter how excessive Dragon Hall was, they still had to give the military some face. If we kill this bodyguard, it may expose the matter. Ling Tian reminded Li Fan. Okay, but where to lock up this bodyguard? I have to think about it. Li Fan sat in the office and felt a headache. At this moment, a subordinate sent up a package. Boss, there's a package for you. Package? Li Fan was a little surprised. He never bought anything online. Wait a minute. Ling Tian took out a special instrument and tested it. Well, it's not a bomb. Damn, you're too timid. Huang Lei couldn't help but complain while chatting on WeChat. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially at this moment. Ling Tian said as he opened the box. There was a heavy brick inside the box. But there was a piece of paper under the brick. Ling Tian pulled it out and there was only an address written on it. It's the address of a hospital. Ling Tian handed the box to Li Fan. It's Red Cross Hospital Inpatient Department, Ward A, Area 303. It's the address of the bodyguard. Li Fan fell into deep thought. Who would send it? Did the courier say anything? Yes, he said. The subordinate nodded and hurriedly replied. He said, "Good son-in-law, I'll leave it to you." Li Fan was silent for a long time. Liu Shanlong gave it to me. He's also under control, but it's not impossible for him to know the address of the bodyguard. Ling Tian analyzed for a moment. However, whether or not he was the one who sent this piece of paper is rather suspicious. What's there to be afraid of? We'll know once we take a look. Huang Lei also looked at the note and said casually. Li Fan was glad that the devil incarnate, Wang Tofu, was not here. He went out to smuggle. If he was here with Huang Lei, things would probably get worse. No matter what, we have to give it a try. Li Fan looked at the address of the hospital. Even if they suspect us, as long as they don't kill the bodyguard, there won't be a problem. According to Ling Tian's plan, we won't lose anything. Then we have to do it secretly. Ling Tian thought for a while. Leave this mission to me. Ah, can you do it? Don't worry, don't forget that I'm a doctor. Ling Tian smiled confidently. Leave it to me, I promise to give you a satisfactory answer. Okay. I'll leave everything to you. Well, this time it's just you and me. Lei, go too, help drive. No problem. When Huang Lei spoke, his eyes never left his phone. Obviously, he was in a heated conversation with someone. Then it's settled. Li Fan made the decision and this matter was settled. Chapter 523. The Red Cross Hospital is not a particularly good hospital in a city, and its scale is not large. The reason why Yang Ruining arranged the bodyguards here is probably to avoid people's eyes and ears. Li Fan and Huang Lei are both sitting in the van outside, waiting for Ling Tian to come back. Hey. Looking at Huang Lei's perverted smile from time to time, Li Fan finally can't help but ridicule. Lei, what are you laughing at? I'm chatting, big brother. Huang Lei doesn't even raise his head, seemingly very focused on chatting. You're not in love, right? Li Fan can't help but ask. I can't hide anything from big brother. Huang Lei chuckles. I recently met a chick, don't say how beautiful she is. Boss, do you want to see her photo? Forget it. Li Fan hurriedly waves his hand, thinking of Huang Lei's aesthetics. Li Fan feels that it's better not to look. Big brother, you have to believe in my taste. I believe in your taste too much, that's why I don't look. Li Fan feels a chill just thinking about it. It's better not to look. Amitabha. Really, I really like this chick. Huang Lei emphasizes, she meets all the requirements of a goddess in my heart. I've decided, I won't marry anyone but her. Then you treat her well. Li Fan is very speechless. He can only order Huang Lei like this. Don't worry big brother, I will definitely treat her well. Brother Huang has a face of happiness. You must make her happy. I don't know if she's happy or not, but I know that your big dick will definitely make her happy. Big brother, don't joke with me. Huang Lei touches the back of his head. I'm also lucky to meet her. I've already decided to change some of my bad habits. What the? Li Fan is shocked. What kind of ability does this woman have to be able to make Huang Lei this ruffian change? That was unbelievable. Li Fan was still in shock when the car door opened. Ling Tian walked in and took off his white coat. Done. He said, the drug has been injected. No one suspects me. Ling Tian made an okay gesture to Li Fan. Within half a year, this bodyguard won't be able to wake up. After Liu Xinnan recovers her strength, we can secretly control this bodyguard. Alright, we're done here. Let's go. Li Fan clapped his hands, and Huang Lei reluctantly put his phone aside and started the car. The car drove a little fast. Obviously, Huang Lei wanted to go back quickly and communicate with his new girlfriend. When he heard the urgent message, he subconsciously slowed down the car and reached for his phone. Drive properly. Ling Tian immediately reprimanded, "You don't want your life anymore. The boss is sitting in the back. Do you want to send the boss to hell?" Among them, other than Li Fan, the only one who could persuade Huang Lei was Ling Tian. With one sentence, Huang Lei became well-behaved and drove obediently. There was basically no nightlife in a city at night. Because of the cold weather, many places would wrap up early at 8 or 9 o'clock. The main road was very wide, and there were basically no cars. This silver van moved forward under the cover of the night, running very smoothly. Li Fan leaned on the seat and began to adjust his breath. He looked at the true qi in his body, watching as it quietly circulated, flowed, multiplied, and grew stronger. But if this went on, Li Fan would not make any progress. His 7 heroes force had been stuck at the 6th stage, and he did not know when he would be able to break through the 7th acupoint and enter the 7th stage. Because he had only practiced 1 chapter of Star Luo power, he only had the strength of the 1st stage. If he wanted to improve, he should practice the 2nd chapter. But Star Luo power was too strange, and it was vaguely related to vitality. Should he continue to cultivate it? Li Fan fell into deep thought. Li Fan felt that there were still many things he did not understand about practicing martial arts. This path was full of mysteries and unknowns, and it deeply attracted Li Fan to go forward. Just as Li Fan was thinking about this problem, his eyebrows suddenly trembled, and he suddenly opened his eyes. Bang! A figure appeared in front of the van, stretched out his hands, and directly stopped the van that was moving. He was wearing a suit of armor that glowed with a metallic luster. He stretched out his hands and pressed on the front of the van. A huge dent was left on the front of the van. Huang Lei and Ling Tian were shocked. Who was this person? Motherfucker, I'll kill you. Huang Lei stepped on the accelerator all the way, and almost stepped into the gas tank. The van suddenly roared, and the tires of the van started to spin crazily like an awakened beast. But the person in front of him laughed, and slowly lifted the front of the van. Although this van's horsepower was not high, it was not something that a person could stop. But this guy in front of him, relying on his armor, was actually able to forcefully resist this van. Motherfucker, who is this guy? Huang Lei panicked. If this goes on, the van will be blown away. Ling Tian directly took out his Colt pistol, aimed at the man in the armor, and fired repeatedly. Bang bang bang. The sound of gunfire pierced the silence in the night, but the man's armor blocked all the bullets. At this time, Li Fan stood up and took a step forward. Bang! The van broke free from the man's hand, and fell heavily, smashing on the ground, and raising a cloud of dust. Li Fan broke the car's windshield, and kicked the man in the armor. The man in front of him was directly kicked by Li Fan, and he slid in the air for more than 5 meters, and then steadily landed on the ground. Oh, you still have so much strength. Warhammer patted the dust on his body. This mech is quite expensive, don't break it for me. You destroyed my car. Li Fan glanced at his wrecked front of the car and couldn't help but get angry. This storm mercenary is really like a dogskin plaster, so clingy. Isn't it just a van? You're China's big brand, Wuling Hongguang, right? Warhammer laughed. Relax, if you die, I will burn the money for this van for you. Oh, so confident this time? Did you take the new drug again? Li Fan mocked. Heh, it's true. Warhammer laughed. This time I injected Angel 2, and my body feels unprecedentedly good. He moved his body. This time I guarantee you will be satisfied. With that, Warhammer pulled out a special shotgun, and aimed at Li Fan. Bang! Just as Warhammer fired a shot, Li Fan had already raised his gun, and the bullet flew high into the sky. Even if you eat Angel 250, you still can't win against me. Is that so? Warhammer laughed, and Li Fan felt a chill behind his back. He quickly turned around and grabbed a bullet, holding it in his hand. Chapter 524. Catching a bullet with bare hands, awesome. Warhammer could not help but clap his hands. Not bad, little friend. Who is a little friend? Li Fan pinched the bullet and looked at the Warhammer in front of him. All right, you've set up a sniper to ambush me. Sniper? No. Warhammer laughed and said, this is the drone that I am equipped with. It is even more useful than a sniper. How is it? Isn't it very cool? Drone. This gave Li Fan a headache. This thing should be able to move freely in the air. It would be difficult for him to find it. Be careful, bullets don't have eyes, but I do. Warhammer pointed at his eyes. Tonight, I am afraid you will be lying in front of me. Don't speak so disgustingly. If you have the appetite, I will introduce you to a handsome guy. Okay, if you can survive. Warhammer said and raised his shotgun, aiming at Li Fan. However, the moment the opponent raised his spear, Li Fan had already struck out with his palm. 7 brilliance fists. Beating tiger. Li Fan's palm directly sent Warhammer's body flying. Warhammer's mech emitted air pressure, stabilizing his body and returning to the ground. But Li Fan chased after him and was already in front of him. At the same time, he sent out another palm. The bullet from the sniper rifle also arrived. Li Fan immediately turned around and caught the bullet. Damn it, the harassment from the drones was too annoying. It seems like it is really difficult to win against you with bullets. Warhammer said helplessly, these strange Chinese martial arts really make people feel fucked up. I also feel that you are very annoying. Li Fan snorted coldly, and Warhammer took out 2 metal knives from his body and held them in his hands. A strong air pressure ejected from behind him, pushing Warhammer's body, quickly sending him in front of Li Fan. 2 metal blades with the power of electricity on them. Li Fan snorted coldly, a huge blue and white figure ejected from behind him. Toad transformation. The 3-meter-tall man slammed his palm down. The black bear slammed the door. This slap sent Warhammer tumbling to the ground. His body smashed a deep pit in the ground. Fuck. Warhammer ordered the drones to attack Li Fan while he climbed up from the ground. What the hell is this? Warhammer looked at the figure floating behind Li Fan in confusion. He was a little confused. How can you understand the true chi of Huaxia? Li Fan said, you want to rely on some genetic medicine to defeat me? Nice try. As he spoke, the figure behind Li Fan struck the warhammer in front of him with his palm. Bear King seal. Bang. A palm print appeared on Warhammer's chest. His body was sent flying again, sliding on the ground for some distance. Finally, he stabbed the 2 metal knives into the ground and stabilized himself. However, Li Fan's figure had caught up to him. Rushing thunder kick. Li Fan vigorously whipped his leg and swept Warhammer's neck. Bang. If not for Warhammer's helmet, his head would have been removed. Even so, his body still flew out horizontally and crashed heavily into a street lamp in the distance. The street lamp was directly bent. Warhammer's body was pressed on it. He lifted his helmet and sneered. Ayaya. I really miscalculated. You are really powerful. He sighed a few times. It seems that if I want to win against you, I need something special. With that, Warhammer took out a small syringe and pierced it into his neck. Damn, what is that? It can't be a demon, right? Li Fan frowned. Bullshit, that demon thing has such a huge side effect. This daddy doesn't need it. Warhammer shouted, this thing is called Angel 3, it is the latest generation of Angel product. Hee, our Storm has the most high-end genetic laboratory. Our research on these things is at the forefront. That guy named Sam wants to compete with us, what a joke. With that, Warhammer shook his neck and slowly stood up from the street lamp. He stretched out his hand and directly grabbed the huge street lamp, using it as a stick or similar weapon, sweeping it horizontally toward Li Fan. Such great strength. Li Fan couldn't help but exclaim while retreating, this drug is really too much. Too much is yet to come. With that, Warhammer grabbed the street lamp with both hands and unceasingly swung it toward Li Fan, repeatedly trying to smash Li Fan into meat pace. However, Li Fan's body left after images every time, causing Warhammer to repeatedly miss. Quickly let me rest. With that, Warhammer waved his hand and threw the street lamp toward Li Fan. Li Fan stood still with his arms crossed. The figure behind him directly raised his palm and hit the street lamp. Bang! The street lamp paused and then exploded into pieces. Take this. Warhammer suddenly fell from the sky and 2 metal blades chopped down toward Li Fan. Li Fan crossed his arms and did not move. The figure behind him was like a god of war. A Ape King cannon directly hit Warhammer's body. Bang! Warhammer's body flew out like a cannonball. However, Warhammer's body released air pressure in the air and stabilized his body. At the same time, he once again fell toward Li Fan. This time, Warhammer combined the two metal blades together and emitted a crimson light. Clearly, the charging attribute changed to heating attribute. Li Fan can already feel that the energy on the metal blades is definitely not ordinary. This Warhammer still has some skill. However, he only raised his hand and lightly touched his chin. High heat, although it is harmful to him, it has no effect on true chi. Facing the falling Warhammer, the war god behind Li Fan directly used Dragon Shattering Hand and hit the metal blade. Catcher. This metal blade directly broke into several pieces and was destroyed by the war god's Dragon Shattering Hand. Even if you eat number 3, it seems like you still can't beat me, Li Fan said. War god waved his hand and pinched a bullet with 2 fingers. However, the drone turned into a machine gun mode and kept shooting bullets at Li Fan. War god's arms kept waving, leaving after images as he caught all the bullets in his hand. Fuck. What is this? This is a guardian. Warhammer wanted to curse. This Li Fan, what exactly is his background? China's kung fu is too strange. True chi is ever-changing and has limitless uses. You little southern barbarian, how can you understand the profoundness of it? Li Fan sneered. What storm? In China, it can only blow a small wind. Fine, you are awesome. Warhammer opened his hands. Seems like if I don't play with you for real today, you brat will be arrogant endlessly. Chapter 525. Warhammer stood there with his arms wide open. At this time, a huge drone flew over from the sky. The drone stopped above Warhammer's head and at the same time, dropped a large pile of metal materials onto Warhammer. These metal materials landed on Warhammer's body and combined with his armor. Soon, Warhammer was like a huge pedestal armor, with 2 giant cannons placed in front of him, aimed at Li Fan in front of him. Bang, bang, bang. The huge cannons started firing, and the cannons kept bombarding Li Fan, but Li Fan still crossed his arms, letting the opponent's cannons roar unceasingly. The war god behind him used Crane Hand, knocking away the cannons in front of him again and again. The war god formed by the toad was almost invincible. To defeat the war god, one must have the same level of true chi to do so. To Li Fan, although the warhammer in front of him was very powerful, it was not a threat to him. After attacking for a long time without success, Warhammer seemed to be a little anxious. Even his pedestal armor could not do anything to Li Fan. What was the war god behind that Chinese? This thing did not make sense. Warhammer assembled his own cannons, and the 2 cannons merged together, aimed at Li Fan opposite him. This time, Warhammer wanted to blast Li Fan into pieces. This was an electromagnetic cannon. Warhammer's mech extended many tentacles, inserted into the ground, and began to extract the surrounding electricity. The surrounding streetlights dimmed and flickered non-stop. Li Fan had the lightning deer's power, so he could vaguely feel the flow of electricity. At this moment, the electricity was quickly gathering on Warhammer's mech, and then condensing on the 2-in-1 cannon in front of him. Under such an attack, even an army would be turned into dust in an instant. But he was not facing anyone else, but Li Fan. Li Fan crossed his arms and stood there, motionless. The war god behind him spread out his hands, and the true chi on his palms began to fluctuate. War god, golden toad spitting pearl, go to hell. Warhammer fired the electromagnetic cannon. The blue electric light streaked across the night sky like a bolt of lightning. It quickly arrived before Li Fan as if it wanted to tear him into dust. However, the war god behind Li Fan also moved. His hands pushed out 2 balls of chi at the same time. He sent them in front of him, condensed them together, and shot them towards the warhammer. Boom! Under the night sky, a dazzling explosion ignited, and Li Fan's figure was forcibly pushed more than 3 meters away. Warhammer, on the other hand, was in an even worse state. The powerful explosion had shattered his pedestal armor, and his body kept tumbling in the air before finally smashing into the ground, creating a deep pit and a ravine. Fuck! Warhammer lay in the deep pit, unable to get up for a long time. The system notified him that his damage rate had reached 80%. Goodbye. Li Fan's war god retracted one hand behind his back, preparing to use the Ursa Major seal to send Warhammer to the afterlife. However, at this time, the huge drone stopped above Warhammer's head. It released some kind of magnetic force, directly pulling Warhammer's body up and sucking him into the cabin of the drone. The drone spat out blue and white flames, and the engine turned, seemingly wanting to leave this place. Bye-bye. Warhammer, who was sucked into the drone, waved his hand at Li Fan. Where are you going? Li Fan frowned, and the war god immediately began to dissipate, quickly condensing into a pair of blue and white wings. With a fierce flap, Li Fan's body actually flew high into the sky. 7 Brilliance Fist, Toad Transformation. True Chi was ever-changing, and Li Fan was now using his own True Chi flexibly. Although the effect was far inferior to Murong Ying's materialization, it was superior in that it was ever-changing and had endless wondrous uses. With the flap of this pair of True Chi wings, Li Fan leaped into the sky, and in the blink of an eye, he was already close to Warhammer. Fuck. Warhammer had a feeling of wanting to pee. This was too fucking inconceivable. He immediately stretched out his hands and combined them together, forming a small electromagnetic cannon. Warhammer absorbed energy from the drone and aimed it at Li Fan, who was already in front of him, and fired. Bang! The electromagnetic cannon fired, and the electromagnetic wave impacted Li Fan's body, pushing him back to the ground. Li Fan landed on the ground, and with a flap of his wings, he slowly dissipated. To maintain the toad transformation, he needed to consume a large amount of True Chi. At this time, Li Fan's True Chi was almost depleted. If he wanted to use the toad transformation again, he would need to rest for an hour and properly recuperate his True Chi. Looking at Li Fan standing there, Warhammer secretly heaved a sigh of relief. This guy is too scary. It seemed that if he wanted to defeat him, he would need an even better gene agent. I actually let him escape. Li Fan stood on the ground, looking at the fleeing drone. However, there will be no next time. Is it another storm? Ling Tian awkwardly kicked open the car door and walked down. How did they know we were here? Isn't this operation very confidential? I am also not sure, but it is obvious that the other party is not some kind of fortune teller. Li Fan was also suspicious of this matter, while Huang Lei awkwardly climbed down, feeling like crying. Fuck, I was still waiting to have sex with a girl. Isn't this ruining my good time? Alright, hurry up and take a taxi. Li Fan said that this guy was already obsessed with lust. He waved his hand, telling Huang Lei to hurry up and do his own things. Thank you, big brother. Later, I will let you be the godfather of my child. Huang Lei happily hailed a taxi from the side and left. While Ling Tian arranged for someone to drive the van away, he worriedly said to Li Fan, "This girlfriend of Lei seems to be worth investigating." Ah! Li Fan understood what Ling Tian meant. You suspect that there is something wrong with Lei's girlfriend? I am used to being cautious, subconsciously suspecting. Ling Tian lowered his voice and said, I saw Lei open a real-time location sharing on WeChat. Of course, I will not suspect Lei, he is undoubtedly loyal to you. But, his woman. How about this, you investigate in secret first. Li Fan, on the other hand, was steady. Let's get to the bottom of this. Don't let Lei suffer. All right. Ling Tian nodded, then leave this matter to me. Also, don't worry about Liu Xinnan, just wait for the news. I will arrange for someone to monitor the vicinity of the Empire State Building. Once there is any movement, I will immediately inform you. All right. Li Fan patted Ling Tian's shoulder. With you by my side, there is a lot less trouble. Ha, I am a person who chooses a good tree to live in. Ling Tian was very calm. Being by your side, I can obtain more benefits. Ian, I will not mistreat my brother. Li Fan was gratified. Taking Ling Tian by his side was really a big bargain. Chapter 526. After Ling Tian dealt with the bodyguards, in less than 3 days, Liu Xinnan was released. She walked out of the Empire State Building and took a deep breath of the outside air. This is the first time she felt that the sun is so bright and the air is so fresh. Even if there is a bit of haze, Liu Shinnan doesn't care. Nan Nan, don't forget, Long Tang's eyes have been staring at you. Yang Ruining stood at the entrance of the Empire State Building with 2 bodyguards behind him. His gaze was deep as he looked at Liu Shinnan. He pointed at his own eyes and exhorted her in a concerned tone. Thank you for your concern, young Master Yang, but I can live quite well, you don't have to worry about me. Liu Shinnan thought that she finally got rid of this idiot. Nan Nan, you tell me, how sad is this? Yang Ruining nagged, look, you were released, but the Red Dragon Society didn't even send anyone to pick you up. Sigh, it seems that you don't have much status in the Red Dragon Society. Why are you like an old woman, so talkative? Liu Shinnan frowned and looked at Yang Ruining unhappily. I'm just worried about you. I don't need your concern, you big idiot. Liu Shinnan is already too lazy to feign civility with this guy, so she directly gave him a middle finger. Yang Ruining was not angry, he chuckled. Nan Nan, I understand that you have a bad temper. However, you should also consider your own position. Think about it, after being locked up here for several days, can the Red Dragon Society still be of use to you? None of your business. Liu Shinnan dropped this sentence and turned to leave. A black Audi A4 stopped in front of Liu Shinnan, the door opened, and Li Fan got out of the car. Big miss, please get in the car. Okay. Liu Shinnan got into the car. When Li Fan saw Yang Ruining standing there, he was a little surprised and took 2 steps forward. Yang Ruining subconsciously took 2 steps back and hid behind the 2 bodyguards. Young Master Yang, why are you retreating? Let's have a good chat. We haven't seen each other for so long. Come, let's catch up. The corners of Yang Ruining's mouth twitched. Who the hell wants to catch up with you? That's boring. As the young master of the Vanguard, how can he be so timid? Li Fan laughed, I want to catch up with you, not compete with you. What are you afraid of? I'm not afraid. Yang Ruining laughed dryly. I've caught a cold recently. I'm afraid I'll pass it on to you. Aya, young Master Yang is really a good person. Li Fan seemed to be very appreciative of Yang Ruining. Are all good people like you? You should give young Master Yang a Lei Feng award or something. You deserve it, you deserve it. Li Fan, cut the crap. What's your relationship with this matter? Yang Ruining's eyes flashed. Could it be that you and Nan Nan joined hands to get rid of the Elder Council? What's the Elder Council? What are you talking about? Li Fan looked at Yang Ruining puzzledly. What Elder Council? Is it an online game? Hihi, my brother's ability to act dumb is getting better. Hey, hey, hey. Is it your ability to tell lies getting better? Li Fan curled his lips. In this world, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. I hate it the most when people pour dirty water on me. If you speak nonsense, I'll beat you up. Beating people means you have a guilty conscience. Beating people means you need a beating. Li Fan took another step forward, scaring Yang Ruining into taking another meter back. Yang Ruining, if you dare to speak nonsense again, be careful of your teeth. Li Fan laughed coldly. Yang Ruining did not dare to utter a word. Although this Li Fan does not have any background, he has a set of skills that can shock the heavens and make the gods weep. Li Fan, stop talking to a retard. Let's go. There are still a lot of things that we need to do. Liu Shinnan said in the car. Our family's big missy has instructed. Consider yourself lucky that your life was spared. Li Fan chuckled. Yang Ruining did not dare to say a word as he clenched his teeth and glared at Li Fan. Sun Qingchen got off the car and opened the door for Li Fan. The 2 bodyguards glared like tigers, seemingly wanting to take revenge for their master as they took a step forward. While Sun Qingchen just stood there, looking at the 2 of them expressionlessly. The 2 bodyguards are experts in their respective fields and are very experienced. When they saw the murderous aura on Sun Qingchen, they knew that he was definitely not an ordinary person. This Li Fan. He is just a small driver and he actually has such strength. Let them go. Yang Ruining was not stupid. He knew that it would not be beneficial for him to go against Li Fan and the others. He could only play dirty with Li Fan. At this moment, Li Fan was already in the car and left with Liu Shinnan. Big Missy Liu, it was not easy for you to be released from prison. Why are you still frowning? This is my first time sitting in such a broken car. Fuck. This is an Audi A4. At this time, don't play with your Big Missy temper, okay? Li Fan looked at Liu Xinnan, who had a sour face and could not help but tease her. I'm afraid that young ruining has already taken advantage of the time when my father and I are not around to tear my Red Dragon Society apart. Liu Xinnan sat at the back with a displeased expression. It's okay, let's think of a way together. Li Fan looked out of the window. The yellow-clothed group has already been uprooted. It's time to move the vanguard. Moving the vanguard is not enough. Liu Xinnan was quite ambitious and directly asked, do you dare to move against Dragon Hall with me? Yo, Li Fan sized up Liu Xinnan, I really couldn't tell that our Big Missy Liu's ambition is not small. Heh. Dragon Hall actually dared to treat me like this, I will definitely not let them off. Liu Xinnan's expression was gloomy. This Missy had been tortured quite badly this time. Fine. According to Li Fan's character in the past, when talking about cooperation, he would definitely take money. But this time, Li Fan was free. He owed Liu Xinnan, and he owed a lot. When had Big Missy Liu ever suffered? This time, she was completely helping Li Fan to take the blame. What is Dragon Hall? How should we deal with it? Tell me, I will help you. Dragon Hall will deal with it later, deal with the vanguard first. Liu Xinnan said, since the Elders' Council has fallen, Dragon Hall will have no power in this city after dealing with the vanguard. Then we still have to get rid of the vanguard first. Okay, I like this. Li Fan had long disliked young ruining. This guy, every second he lived was a waste of the air in this world. But it was useless to just get rid of young ruining. The vanguard was huge and had deep roots in a city. To get rid of the vanguard was not as simple as dealing with the yellow-clothed group. The vanguard was an organization that only trained elites. Their department was small in manpower, but each of them was an elite. Moreover, the vanguard was not like the yellow-clothed group, they did not have many underworld businesses in a city. Most of them were legitimate businesses, so it would not be possible to rely on the methods they used to deal with the yellow-clothed group. Chapter 527. Li Fan had already agreed with Liu Xinnan to find the whereabouts of the Great Ming Dynasty's treasure after settling the matter of the vanguard army. Liu Xinnan had already launched a full-scale business war with the vanguard army. If she wanted to defeat the vanguard army, a business war was indispensable. But at the same time, Li Fan also provided manpower for Liu Xinnan to deal with the 4 halls of the vanguard army. There were 4 halls under the vanguard army: Wind, Forest, Fire, and Fire Hall. Among them, the Fire Hall was in charge of territory. They were the best at fighting and had countless gold medal fighters. This group of people were the elites of the vanguard army. They received devil-like training every day to cultivate their combat strength. According to the information that Li Fan understood, there weren't many people in the Fire Hall. It had always been maintained at around 50 people. These 50 people were all powerful generals. It wasn't a problem for one of them to fight 4 or 5 people. The Fire Hall master was called Jin Hui. He was a famous gold medal fighter from the Special Forces. He was Young Ruining's left and right hand and had always been fighting for Young Ruining. It could be said that if there was no Jin Hui in a city, there wouldn't be the current Young Ruining. Young Ruining's father was different from others. He also trained his son like an elite. Back then, he kicked Young Ruining out of the family and let him live alone. Young Ruining roped in 4 people. Their leader was Jin Hui from the Hall of Fire. He fought against 10 people alone, and gathered even more underlings. Like a wildfire, they helped Young Ruining expand his territory. Jiang Jun of the Wind Hall was a scheming person. He was in charge of scheming against Young Ruining. He was in charge of gathering intelligence and helping to gather information. It was said that everything big and small in a city couldn't escape his eyes and ears. Other than the 2 of them, there was also the Forest Hall's Kaga Boji. This kid was a ninja from the island country. Young Ruining had spent an unknown amount of money and was even stubborn. He almost fell out with Jin Hui before taking this ninja in. But the rewards were also generous. Karga led a few assassins that the Forest Hall had trained to help young Ruining get rid of some of his enemies. Finally, there was Parker of the Mountain Hall. He was a British man with a high IQ and was good at business. Young Ruining's small business had been turned into a big business by Parker. These four people had helped young Ruining all the way to where he was now. When young Ruining returned to the vanguard, he was already a feudal lord. Previously, in the vanguard army, young Ruining was just a young master and was looked down upon by everyone. But from that day onwards, no one dared to doubt young Ruining's strength. In other words, it was because of his own ability that he had such a status. He was not a pure young master, nor was he an idiot. If he wanted to take care of the vanguard army and young Ruining, he had to start with the four halls. Only by exterminating the four great halls could they touch young Ruining's foundation. These matters were left to Ling Tian and Bai Lin Luo to plan. Liu Xinnan was currently consolidating her forces. The Red Dragon Society was currently in disarray, and there were a few troublemakers who were constantly challenging Liu Xinnan's authority. Li Fan handed Yang Kai over to Liu Xinnan. Unlike old Guan, Yang Kai was an upright person. Some of the dirty work could be left to Yang Kai, and there was basically no problem. He was temporarily a hands-off boss. After all, he was still a student and had to go to school. At this moment, he was sitting in the classroom, listening to Liao Wushuang's English lesson. Li Fan was bored to death, but Bai Lin Luo was seeing stars as if he was looking at a celebrity he worshipped. The power of a goddess was really extraordinary. Li Fan sat there, reading an English book on the surface, but in reality, he was secretly looking at his phone and studying the Jianghu app. Recently, the Jianghu had become lively. Many sects and aristocratic families began to join forces to deal with the devil cult. The Sima family also symbolically sent some people to follow these sects and aristocratic families to form a Wulin alliance. The purpose of the Wulin alliance was to suppress the devil cult. The leader of this alliance was naturally Murong Ying. Murong Ying had something to do for the time being, and so did Li Fan. Not only did the Sima family send people to help Murong Ying in her crusade against the devil cult, but they were also preparing to cause trouble for Li Fan. This time, Faifan Escort Agency was playing a little too big. The Sima family was a tiger in the Jianghu, and Faifan Escort Agency had already slapped the tiger's butt. As the saying went, a tiger's butt should not be touched. Since Faifan Escort Agency had touched it, they had to pay the price. Li Fan was bored to death as he browsed through the app. Li Fan, stop playing with your phone. Pay attention in class. Liao Wushuang had already seen through Li Fan's little tricks. If you don't pay attention, you might have to repeat a year. Li Fan had no choice but to put his phone away. This Miss Liao had good eyesight. It seemed that he had to continue today's treatment. He looked around and realized that he would indeed be discovered. Apart from Bai Lin Luo, there were basically no other students around him. There were at least 3 rows of empty tables. Ever since the murder happened in the field, all the students basically avoided him. They all treated him as a god of plague. This could be considered a special case. Okay, class dismissed. The bell rang, and Liao Wushuang announced the end of class. Li Fan eagerly followed her. After all, he was also concerned about Miss Liao's health. Why are you in such a hurry? Liao Wushuang walked in front with the lesson plan in her arms. Her face was slightly red when she saw Li Fan following her. I'm just concerned about Miss Liao's health. Li Fan replied seriously, if anything happens to Miss Liao's health, it will be my loss, private number 2 middle school's loss, and the entire education industry's loss. Go to hell. You can't even speak properly. Liao Wushuang's heart was in a mess. This Li Fan, why is he so talkative? Miss Liao, Li Fan, you guys are together. At this time, Bai Lin Luo also walked over. Seeing Liao Wushuang and Li Fan together, he was a bit surprised, but he didn't care too much. Li Fan, you're too sinister. You don't study well in class, and always let Miss Liao give you special treatment. Yeah. I have to get a good score. Li Fan can't say anything else, so he just casually replied. Miss Liao, what do you think of the article I showed you last time? Bai Lin Luo asked in a serious manner. Liao Wushuang smiled. This smile made Bai Lin Luo somewhat crazy. Not bad, it's a good article. Liao Wushuang expressed her approval to Bai Lin Luo. With your talent, I think if I talk to the professor at Columbia University, you should be able to successfully apply for Columbia University. Bai Lin Luo wants to go abroad. At that moment, Li Fan was slightly nervous. Haha, no, I won't go abroad. Bai Lin Luo didn't know if he was talking to Liao Wushuang or answering Li Fan's question. I can also do well in China. I like foreign literature, so I want to try it. Bai Lin Luo suddenly became a bit shy and hesitantly asked a question. That. Miss Liao. Do you have a boyfriend? Chapter 528. Bai Lin Luo's question made Li Fan and Liao Wushuang stunned at the same time. The two of them looked at each other. What does Bai Lin Luo mean by asking this question? This, not really. But, I don't agree with teacher-student relationships. Teacher Liao is also so old-fashioned. Bai Lin Luo quickly said, but Teacher Liao doesn't need to be in such a hurry to oppose it. I believe I will have this honor. This is the first time Li Fan saw Bai Lin Luo being so proactive. Usually, even if it's a mission, he would come up with a plan like playing a game, very casually coming up with ideas. But this time, he seems to be serious. It's not easy to see hot blood in Bai Lin Luo. Student Bai Lin Luo, put more effort into your studies, teacher will be very happy. Liao Wushuang pretended to be serious, which made Li Fan feel weird. While he was surprised, he also felt a little embarrassed. This time, Bai Lin Luo actually took the initiative to confess to Liao Wushuang. Then what about my relationship with Liao Wushuang? Why would I think so? Between me and Liao Wushuang, isn't there only a teacher-student relationship? At this time, some students who passed by Li Fan immediately hid far away, but they could still vaguely hear their conversation. Oh my God! Teacher Liao dares to be so close to the little tyrant. I heard that the little tyrant has an underworld gang. It seems that the one wearing glasses is his military advisor. Oh my God, they won't harm Teacher Liao, right? These whispers, although Liao Wushuang and Bai Lin Luo can't hear them, Li Fan can hear them clearly. But what can he say? He is also too lazy to explain to these students. Then that's it for now. Liao Wushuang chatted with Bai Lin Luo for a while, and then said, in the future, if you have any articles, feel free to show them to me. Thank you, Teacher Liao. Bai Lin Luo was excited. He pushed up his spectacles and said, I will also work hard in this aspect. Classmate Bai, actually I already have someone I like in my heart. Liao Wushuang suddenly said, so I can't accept your confession. This was a huge blow to Bai Lin Luo. Teacher Liao, you have someone you like? He had never heard Teacher Liao mention this before. Yeah. Liao Wushuang nodded seriously. Teacher didn't lie. I've liked him for a while. When Liao Wushuang said this, something strange flashed in her eyes. I think in this life, besides him, there will be no one else in my heart. Teacher Liao, is there really no chance at all? Bai Lin Luo was a little disappointed. Millimeter, I'm really sorry. You're a good person. I understand. Teacher Liao, I'll take my leave first. Bai Lin Luo left dejectedly. Li Fan hurriedly said goodbye to Liao Wushuang and went to find Bai Lin Luo. This guy, he wouldn't suffer from a psychological blow, right? In the past, he was a fragile little fellow. Now, would it cause him to have a relapse? Little Four Eyes, are you okay? Li Fan walked forward and hooked his arm around Bai Lin Luo's shoulder. You can always find another woman if you don't have one. Don't have any dark thoughts. What are you thinking? Am I that kind of person? Bai Lin Luo touched the fiery red badge on his collar. I'm a member of the Communist Youth League. I have high awareness. Don't talk nonsense. I can see your eyes are red. I'm just a little sad. It's not that exaggerated. A man doesn't cry easily. Bai Lin Luo was quite unyielding. I just tried to confess to the goddess. It's normal to be rejected. Teacher Liao even gave me a good person card. Just as Bai Lin Luo was about to say something, his hand suddenly trembled. There was no one around. Otherwise, they would have thought that Bai Lin Luo had some problem. Fuck, little Four Eyes, what's wrong? Li Fan hurriedly pulled Bai Lin Luo. You really can't take the blow? No, it's not that. My head hurts. Bai Lin Luo's face turned red. It was quite strenuous for him to speak. Fuck, why is my hand shaking when I have a headache? No, I don't know. I don't know why my head has been hurting lately. Bai Lin Luo knelt on the ground, gasping for air. Li Fan was a little anxious. He sent his true energy into Bai Lin Luo's body but didn't find anything strange. Bai Lin Luo suddenly stuffed his hand into his mouth. Li Fan was stunned. Fuck. What's going on? But he actually slowly took out a card from his mouth. That card was faintly emitting some golden light before slowly fading. What the hell? Li Fan was a little shocked. This kind of thing was beyond his common sense. Sure enough, Bai Lin Luo sat on the ground, looked at the card in his hand and smiled bitterly. What's going on? Li Fan was very puzzled. You can spit out cards from your mouth and perform magic with me? I seem to have awakened a kind of superpower, Bai Lin Luo said a little awkwardly. I also don't know why. So I tried twice. Don't joke around. Did you lose your mind because you were dumped? Li Fan looked at Bai Lin Luo worriedly. Ayo, we have such a good relationship. Why don't you believe me? Bai Lin Luo took out the other two cards. Now, as long as I am rejected, I will be given a good guy card. Li Fan looked at the two cards. One of them was clearly printed with a girl's face. Fuck, isn't this Wang Xiaoyuan? Li Fan looked at this card, which had a B class written on it. Yeah, I tried to confess my love to Wang Xiaoyuan, and I got the good guy card. Bai Lin Luo kept smiling bitterly. If I don't have a superpower, then I must be crazy. Fuck. Li Fan still felt it was a little unbelievable. But thinking that since the true energy existed, it was not impossible to have a superpower. But his incompetent advisor had awakened a superpower. Who is this card? Li Fan saw that the face of the woman on the other card was a little old and could not help but be surprised. Ah, this is my mother. Fuck, you even confessed to Auntie. You beast. What are you talking about? I just tried to tell my mother that I love you. Then she said that I was a good boy, and I got this card. Unfortunately, it is a C class. Li Fan really broke down. Bai Lin Luo. What is going on? Well, even if this is a superpower, what is with these cards? Li Fan took the two cards and looked at them, but he couldn't find any clues. I am not sure. I just know that I can get a good guy card. But I don't know the specific function. Wait, Li Fan picked up Liao Wushuang's card. This was an A-class card, which seemed to be very precious. But the name written on the card. Liao Qianqian. Chapter 529. What happened to Liao Qianqian? Is there something wrong with your good guy card system? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. It shouldn't be. Look at Wang Xiaoyuan and my mom's names. They are both correct. Bai Lin Luo hurriedly explained. That's strange. Anyway, I'll keep teacher Liao's card. You can have Wang Xiaoyuan's. Bai Lin Luo gave Wang Xiaoyuan's good guy card to Li Fan and reminded him, don't have any ideas about my mom. Damn, you think too much. Li Fan rolled his eyes. Holding Wang Xiaoyuan's card, he looked at the woman he used to like inside. But then he remembered that this card came from Bai Lin Luo's mouth. He couldn't help but wipe it on Bai Lin Luo's clothes. Damn it, I've wiped it clean, okay? Bai Lin Luo looked at Li Fan with hatred. Alright. You should study this superpower of yours. But don't tell anyone about it except for me, okay? Li Fan was worried that Bai Lin Luo would be in danger. Before he practiced martial arts, he thought it could make him stronger. But he didn't expect that after practicing martial arts, he also stepped into a new field. There were many dangers here. Every martial arts practitioner was his own potential enemy. Martial artists seemed to attract each other. Li Fan believed that it should be the same among people with superpowers. He must protect Bai Lin Luo and not let him get hurt. After all, he didn't know what his ability was. What's the use of holding the good guy card? Li Fan reluctantly put Wang Xiaoyuan's card into his pocket and asked again. Are there no other cards? Not yet, I just tested teacher Liao's ability. Bai Lin Luo shrugged. Try it on Yin Xiaoru, Xia Yi, and Lin Yuhin. Maybe it will work. Li Fan's expression was a little strange. Although it was a test of ability, he felt that something was wrong. I'm going back. Be careful on the road. Ian, Sun Qingchen's car is still waiting for me outside. It's fine. Li Fan patted Bai Lin Luo's shoulder to reassure him. I'll send you home first, then I'll leave. Li Fan was now concerned about Bai Lin Luo's safety, so he decided to send him home first. No need, no need. What could happen to me? No one else knows about this, so don't worry too much. Bai Lin Luo was a smart man. He knew what was going on and declined Li Fan's offer. Let Sun Qingchen send you all the way. I'll ride the bike with Lin Yuhin. Li Fan saw Lin Yuhin standing at the school gate, waving at him as if calling him over. All right then. Bai Lin Luo knew Li Fan's temper, so he didn't waste any more time and directly went to the Audi. What's wrong today? You seem to be worried about little Four. Lin Yuhin was smart and proficient in psychology. She could tell what Li Fan was thinking. Nothing big, Li Fan suddenly reminded, but if he confesses to you one day, you must say that he is a good person. Huh? Lin Yuhin was shocked. Confess to me? Is he crazy? Ha, I'm just saying. Recently, he has been studying the psychology of women in love and likes to confess to others. Ah, he is also interested in psychology. Lin Yuhin was a little surprised. She thought that Bai Lin Luo was only interested in English. Haha, he is still young. His temperament is still uncertain. Pei, you speak as if your temperament is mature. You are much older than him. We are the same age. Now that you mention it, I just remembered. Li Fan patted his head. I am also a high school student. It's good that you know. Okay, quickly send me to the company. Seeing that she successfully reprimanded Li Fan, Lin Yuhin was a little satisfied. She hadn't reprimanded Li Fan for a long time. She almost forgot that she was smarter than him. Humph. Li Fan was holding the handlebar when he suddenly saw several people rushing out from the corner. Several burly men stuffed Liao Wushuang into a van and then stepped on the accelerator. The van sped away. Li Fan frowned. What's going on? Liao Wushuang was caught? Moon Immortal, take a taxi to the company. What happened? Lin Yuhin was puzzled. Teacher Liao had an accident. I will explain to you later. Li Fan didn't have time to explain. He rode his bicycle and chased after the van that had already gone far away. Do you want to call the police? Lin Yuhin shouted at Li Fan's back. But Li Fan didn't answer. This guy is trying to be a hero again. Lin Yuhin angrily said. Li Fan infused his true qi into his body. His bicycle's speed was very astonishing. He closely followed behind the van. He was worried about Liao Wushuang's safety. At the same time, he was also wondering who could actually kidnap an English teacher from the school. Li Fan's speed was very fast as lightning, like a bolt of lightning, closely chasing behind the boxcar. He rode to the front of the van. Through the window, a man was pointing a gun at Liao Wushuang's head. He mouthed something to Li Fan and followed behind. Li Fan frowned. He was worried about Liao Wushuang's safety. He could only obediently follow behind the van. The speed of the van was not slow, but it was also not particularly fast. The van and the bicycle, one in front and one behind, raced on the viaduct. Originally, the bicycle could not withstand the ferocious pedaling of Li Fan. But he transformed his true qi and wrapped it around the bicycle, strengthening the body. Since it was transformation, not only could it be condensed into the shape of a human or a beast, but it could also be attached to a variety of tools to strengthen them. Compared with the time when he just got his true qi, the current Li Fan has matured a lot. In the city, Li Fan didn't want to make too much noise. More than half an hour later, they went out of the city one after another. The van directly stopped in front of an abandoned warehouse, and a few people pushed Liao Wushuang into the warehouse. You guys, it's time to stop. Li Fan came from the side. Let Liao Wushuang go, or you'll all die. Let her go. How can that be? A man turned around with a pistol in his hand and pressed it on Liao Wushuang's waist. At the same time, he smiled at Li Fan. I spent so much effort just to lure you out, Li Fan. Li Fan. Don't worry about me. Let's go. Liao Wushuang shouted at Li Fan. Shut up. A man next to her raised his hand, wanting to slap Liao Wushuang. After all, Liao Wushuang was a woman. She closed her eyes in fear. If you dare to touch her, I'll kill you. Li Fan stretched out a finger and pointed at the man. Meeting Li Fan's eyes, the man, who was originally fierce, now subconsciously withdrew his hand. Li Fan, why are you so excited? For the sake of your woman, you'd better take 2 steps back. Chapter 530. For the sake of your woman, you'd better take 2 steps back. The man was wearing a black jacket. He looked a little fierce, but his eyes hid a cunning look. At first glance, one could tell that he was not a good person. This kind of man was very difficult to deal with. Especially the way he looked at her, full of vigilance. She couldn't provoke him, otherwise, it would be bad for Liao Wushuang. Although she said that she wanted Li Fan to leave quickly, Liao Wushuang's expression betrayed her. She was very afraid. Now, are you so afraid of me after finding me? Li Fan looked at the man in the jacket and asked. I'm quite afraid of you. The man in the jacket admitted very generously, I know your ability. You're very powerful. So, I have to keep a certain distance from you. Really? Cut the crap, step back. The voice of the man in the jacket suddenly became sharp, like a roar. Li Fan immediately took 2 steps back and raised his hands at the same time. Don't be impulsive, I won't go over. That's more like it. The man in the jacket nodded with satisfaction. Keep a distance from me. If you come within 5 meters of her, I'll shoot her. Li Fan stood there, not daring to move. But his mind was spinning quickly, thinking about how to save Liao Wushuang. These people were not ordinary kidnappers. They were definitely professionals. Each of them stared at him very closely, and each of them had calluses on their hands. At a glance, he could tell that they were not ordinary people. Li Fan was also looking at these people, for fear that they would do something bad to Liao Wushuang. But what concerned him the most was the man in the jacket. He was different from these people. This man was wearing a leather jacket and a pair of jeans. Although it was ordinary clothes, Li Fan could see that this man was a martial artist. He licked his lips at Li Fan and then walked into the small factory. The whole old warehouse was a little dim and smelled a little damp. This place doesn't look like a good place. It's a necessary place for bad things in TV and movies. Li Fan frowned, constantly calculating in his heart. How could he save Liao Wushuang and let her leave with him safely? Li Fan pretended to stare at Liao Wushuang, but in fact, his mind was on the others. As a martial artist, Li Fan should be observant and alert. Take a seat. After the jacketed man tied Liao Wushuang to the chair, he pointed at Li Fan. There was also a chair behind Li Fan, but this chair seemed to be specially made. It was made of steel and welded to the ground. Under the threat of the man in the jacket, Li Fan could only sit on the chair obediently. As soon as he sat down, alloy steel plates popped out from the chair and fixed his hands and feet to the chair. It seems like you guys are quite afraid of me. Li Fan sneered and looked at the man in the jacket in front of him. It's my honor to be given such special treatment. Yeah, after all, young Hero Li is too dangerous. If I don't lock you up, I won't feel at ease. The man in the jacket said, checked his pistol, and then aimed at Li Fan in front of him. I want to know, in this state, can you still block bullets? You're not a gun user. Li Fan was very calm. Why don't you use what you're good at to deal with me, how about it? Young Hero Li, you really have a good eye. The man in the jacket couldn't help but clap his hands. Young Hero Li is such an excellent person, I really can't bear to kill you. I'm a bit reluctant, what should I do? Even if I die, you should let me die knowing. Li Fan sat there, looking at the man in the jacket opposite him. Who the hell are you? You can't say that. The man in the jacket was not so easy to fool. Whether you die or not, it's hard to say. Li Fan, you have countless opportunities to die, but you survived. I'm not one of those bad guys in the book, I'm not stupid, I won't tell you these things. It doesn't matter if you say it or not, I already know. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. Are you trying to scare me? Is the competition in King of Hell very fierce? Li Fan asked, after killing me, you should be able to be promoted to a white card killer, right? The man in the jacket frowned slightly. Yu Hang, nicknamed Scorpio. The killer you met on the train last time should be from the same sect or a brother of yours. Li Fan's words made the man in the jacket frown deeply, but he quickly relaxed. Good, little tyrant lives up to his name, you're quite good. Yu Hang gave a thumbs up. As for me, I'm really not good at using guns, nor am I good at kidnapping. The reason why I kidnapped you today was not my idea. So, if you die, don't blame me. The one who cooperated with you should be Storm. Li Fan continued, only this notorious mercenary would spend money to hire people from King of Hell. As long as they can complete the mission, they will do anything, right? Yu Hang stared at Li Fan, you're really smart. So smart that I kind of hate you now. As he spoke, he raised his pistol. It was a Czech-produced CZ-100, 9mm caliber, with a 13-round clip. Brother, I'm sorry, I'm really not good at using guns, so I wanted to try this thing. Can you still catch bullets in your current state? As he spoke, Yu Hang pulled the trigger and fired 3 shots. Bang bang bang. Li Fan did not move, the bullets hit the wall behind him. Liao Wushuang sat there, screaming, obviously frightened by Yu Hang's sudden shot. Your marksmanship is too lousy. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. Don't worry, there are 13 bullets, I can hit you. As he spoke, Yu Hang continued to pull the trigger, shooting at Li Fan. Bullets kept flying, but Li Fan was still sitting there, motionless. Almost all the bullets were fired, but Yu Hang was lucky, the last bullet was aimed at Li Fan. But a figure stood up from Li Fan, stretched out 2 fingers, and pinched the bullet. What? Yu Hang was shocked, he looked at the figure standing up from Li Fan, not knowing what the hell was going on. What kind of kung fu is this? The fist of the 7 heroes. Li Fan replied lazily. Damn, this is strange. Let's kill that woman first. Yu Hang turned his head, only to find Liao Wushuang standing behind him, safe and sound, and a dark guard of the Brocade Secret Guard standing there, holding a black saber in his hand, slowly dripping with blood. All of Storm's mercenaries were taken down by her, and his hostage was saved by her. Heartless Saber. You actually helped this guy. I didn't expect. I really didn't expect it. Yu Hang gritted his teeth. I understand now. You were the one who secretly told him my identity, right? Chapter 531. Yushi didn't say a word. She had always been a person of few words to others. How strange. Embroidered Uniform Guard is actually working with Little Tyrant. Yu Hang also had intelligence. He knew that Little Tyrant was on the Embroidered Uniform Guard's wanted list. This time, I lost. But don't think you'll have it easy. As he spoke, the ceiling suddenly shattered. A mighty figure fell from the sky, bringing dust and gravel, landing in front of Yu Shi and Li Fan. Warhammer controlled the armor on his body and slowly stood up. This place is really far, aren't you a little late? Yu Hang cursed, the people from Storm are so fucking late. I'm already keeping my promise by coming. Warhammer's armor emitted waves of energy, as if it was adjusting the status of the armor. I hate working with Chinese the most. It's not too late if you leave now. Forget it. For the mission, I'll sacrifice a little. Warhammer and Yu Hang were now working together. Yu Shi placed Liao Wushuang to the side, then held the black saber and slashed at Warhammer and Yu Hang. The air violently fluctuated, and a black light appeared. The two dodged to the side at the same time. They could tell that this black light was not simple. Oh no. But Yu Hang seemed to remember something, but when he turned his head, it was already too late. The saber had already split the metal restraints on Li Fan's body. He stretched his muscles and stood up. Actually, I can do it myself. He even said with a smile, which was enough to piss people off. But there's no other way. Our Heartless Saber is a warm-hearted girl. Heartless Saber? Warm-hearted? Yu Hang didn't believe this nonsense. Who was this heartless saber? The number of souls she had killed was probably more than a professional assassin like him. Fine, it seems like I'm destined to fight you today. Let me choose my opponent. As soon as Warhammer finished speaking, Yu Hang had already pounced on Li Fan. That's why I hate Chinese. Warhammer curled his lips and turned to look at heartless saber Yu Shi. This girl with only one eye didn't seem to be easy to deal with. Heartless saber, heartless saber. As soon as Yu Shi finished speaking, she appeared behind Warhammer. However, at some point in time, Warhammer's arms had joined together, forming a complete shield that blocked Yu Shi's attack. Red sparks popped up on the shield, which was a souvenir left by Yu Shi's saber. What a fast blade! As expected of a famous master. However, your saber has no effect on me. My armor is the same as this shield. It's made of superalloy. With that, Warhammer proudly flashed the shield on his arm. You should give up. Your sword can't hurt me. As soon as Warhammer finished speaking, a deep knife mark appeared on his shield. It was as deep as a fingernail. Warhammer stared at the scar on his shield, speechless for a long time. Motherfucker, are you kidding me? The superalloy was actually injured by a steel knife. You win. Warhammer put away his shield and looked at Yu Shi solemnly. Storm Mercenary Special Force Warrior Warhammer, please enlighten me. He said to Yu Shi in the Chinese way. Yu Shi didn't say a word. She held her black saber and pointed at Warhammer. On the other side, Li Fan and Scorpio Yu Hang were also fighting. The two of them quickly exchanged blows, exchanging 3 or 4 blows before separating again. Good lad, you're strong. Yu Hang looked at Li Fan, a trace of haze flashed in his eyes. As expected of a quasi-white card, you live up to your reputation. Li Fan wasn't stingy with his praise. As a martial artist, he had to be honest. In Hell Palace, the white card was 1 level higher than the black card, and the highest was the red card. It was said that only one assassin had this card. This Yu Hang specialized in leg techniques. Li Fan began to focus. He wasn't in a hurry to use the 7 Brilliance Fist. Instead, he paid more attention to Yu Hang's every move. Yu Hang stood in front of him. His right shoulder suddenly moved. Li Fan immediately raised his left arm and blocked Yu Hang's leg whip. Yu Hang was surprised. He was known as the bullet leg, and his leg speed was astonishing. How could it be seen through today? Good lad, are you looking at my shoulder? Yu Hang understood. He was an expert and knew how to see through his opponent's leg technique. No matter how good one's leg technique was, it was hard to keep the shoulder stable when kicking. Even the slightest tremble was enough to attract the attention of an expert. But even if you see it, you won't be able to block it. Yu Hang quickly kicked out like a bullet, attacking Li Fan at high speed. Li Fan used Crane's hand to form a vacuum around his body. He blocked Yu Hang's bullet leg time and time again, but Yu Hang's bullet leg was not called for nothing. Not only was it fast, the force of each kick had the power of a bullet. Every time Li Fan blocked his opponent's leg, his palm would be numb from the impact and he would be forced to retreat. This Yu Hang was really hard to deal with. The power of his technique was not to be underestimated. He had trained his leg technique for at least 20 years. Every time he kicked out, it was natural. His legs were much more useful than a gun. King of Hell's 3 nods. Yu Hang suddenly jumped into the air, turned around, and kicked out 3 times in a row. Every single one of these 3 kicks carried a terrifying power. If the kick landed on a person's body, it would probably leave 3 holes in their body. Li Fan could already feel the power of this ultimate technique. If it was just 1 kick, his agile snake comes out of its hole would be able to neutralize it. Or he could use striking the tiger to counterattack. But it was 3 kicks in one breath, and each kick was perfect. There was not a single flaw. Who knew how many times his opponent had practiced this technique? It was like a divine technique. In the blink of an eye, the 3 kicks landed on Li Fan's body. Li Fan's body was torn apart. Yu Hang did not have the slightest bit of joy. He landed on the ground and frowned. 7 Brilliance Fists. Ape play. Once again, Li Fan created an afterimage and deceived Yu Hang. His body appeared behind Yu Hang, and at the same time, he placed a hand on Yu Hang's shoulder. Li Fan was about to activate subduing the bear, but he suddenly felt a trace of danger. Li Fan took a step back, and one of Yu Hang's feet brushed past his chest. The front of Li Fan's shirt was torn to two sides. Yu Hang was practically sprawled on the ground with both hands on the ground. One of his legs was stretched out, and the other was raised high. He looked like a scorpion, ready to attack its prey. Yu Hang turned around and stared at Li Fan. "This must be your scorpion technique." Li Fan could not help but be wary. "So you practice Xingyi Quan. Impressive." Chapter 532. Yu Hang didn't make a sound. He just lay there and stared at Li Fan like a tiger watching its prey. His entire body was like a poisonous scorpion, his eyes staring at its prey. Although it didn't look good, the Xingyi martial arts did look like it had reached the acme of perfection. Li Fan couldn't help but be alert as he looked at Yu Hang in front of him warily. Yu Hang suddenly leaped out and grabbed Li Fan's legs with his hands like a scorpion's pincers. His leg, which was propped up, was like a scorpion's poisonous stinger, and it stabbed Li Fan's chest. Bang! Qi exploded from Li Fan's back. He spat out a mouthful of blood and broke free from Yu Hang's hands. He took 2 steps back and landed on the ground behind him. Yu Hang was still lying there, his eyes glowing with a poisonous light, making Li Fan shudder. Li Fan felt that he had underestimated the experts in the world. Yu Hang's scorpion skill was indeed domineering. Li Fan felt that he couldn't just sit and wait for death. Li Fan took a step forward, trying to capture Yu Hang. However, Yu Hang leaped back and retreated 3 meters. Then, he spread his legs and hung on the pillar behind him. Yu Hang looked down at Li Fan condescendingly. He suddenly leaped down, turned his body, and swung his leg down from behind like an axe. Half moon illuminates the river. His leg came down from above, carrying the power of thunder. Li Fan stretched out his hands to block in front of him, but he was forced to kneel on the ground by the force of the kick. Bang! The ground under his feet was crushed. Li Fan shook his arms and pushed Yu Hang's body away. Yu Hang landed on the ground and bounced toward Li Fan again. His speed on the ground was extremely fast, like a scorpion pouncing on its prey. Li Fan had bullet time, but he couldn't keep up with Yu Hang's speed. Because Yu Hang's movement on the ground was too strange, Li Fan's eyes couldn't follow him at all. This was not a good sign. As soon as Li Fan thought of this, the hairs on his back stood up. He didn't know when Yu Hang had flashed past his crotch, but his scorpion leg was already stabbing toward his back. Li Fan did not have enough time to turn around. He could only use his true qi to protect his body, trying to block this kick. Bang! Like an old monk striking a bell, Li Fan felt as if his internal organs were about to explode from this kick. He somersaulted forward to dispel Yu Hang's strength and stood up again. Li Fan was entangled with Yu Hang and seemed to be at a disadvantage. On the other side, Yu Shi was fighting with her war hammer. Yu Shi swung the long saber in her hand, sending out waves of saber light. Warhammer could only helplessly hide in his armor, relying on the superalloy on his body to resist. No matter how sturdy his battle armor was, it was now covered in scars. Clearly, he had been suppressed to the point where he couldn't fight back at all. Good, good, good. Chinese martial artist, you have angered me. Warhammer was already angry. Not only was Yu Shi's saber fast, but her movement technique was also like a shadow, making it impossible for him to catch her. However, he still had the most advanced technology of Storm. A cannon hole popped out of this guy's arm, and he shot a steel needle to the ground. This steel needle stabbed into the ground, and a metal part at the top popped open, revealing a blue glowing object inside. Then, a powerful magnetic field appeared within a radius of 10 meters, pulling Yu Shi's footsteps, making her body even heavier. Not only that, the black saber in her hand also became like a small mountain, dropping in her hand, making her feel even more pressured. This is a super magnetic field. Warhammer said proudly, in this magnetic field, only my anti-magnetic device will not be affected. As for you, hehe, you can only pray for your own good. As he said that, Warhammer stretched out his hand, and the drone in the sky immediately threw down a metal container in the shape of a medicine bag, smashing behind him. The metal container slowly opened, and Warhammer took 2 steps back and walked over. The metal container completely disintegrated, and many mechanical arms stretched out from it, removing some of Warhammer's armor, and put new armor on his body. Soon, Warhammer changed into a brand new set of armor. This set of armor was red and black, and the logo of Storm was still printed on it. This is a new kinetic armor, and its combat power is twice as strong as the one I usually wear. Warhammer introduced, "You have to be careful, don't die too early." As he said that, he moved. From where the metal container was, a mechanical arm threw out a metal hammer, which he caught in his hand. This hammer was equipped with a propulsion device, and when Warhammer was swung, it would spit out flames in the opposite direction, strengthening the strength of the swing. Yushi slightly frowned. She calmed herself down and unleashed 2 blade beams at the Warhammer. Clang! The hammer in Warhammer's hand met the saber lights, and flames sprayed out. This hammer's density was obviously higher than superalloy, and it actually shattered Yushi's saber lights. As the flaming hammer pushed forward, Warhammer smashed toward Yushi. Yushi maintained her calm. She quietly watched Warhammer fall in front of her, and then she shook the black saber. The saber lights vibrated, as if it was resonating with something. That sound pierced into Warhammer's ears, and he subconsciously shook his head. Unbeknownst to Zhongxian, the Yushi before him had split into 3 identical people, wielding a black saber in their hands as they stared at him. Warhammer was shocked. What was going on? Detected a concussion caused by tinnitus. The system's notification sounded faintly, as if it came from the distant horizon. Warhammer swore in his heart. No matter how many opponents there were, he would take them all down. He swung the flaming hammer, and the propulsion device on the hammer propelled his body, causing his whole body to spin, and a powerful whirlwind swept toward Yushi. His frontal attack was quite effective. Yushi's attempt to confuse him was ineffective. Li Fan, who was standing behind, saw Warhammer and was worried that Yushi would be at a disadvantage. For some reason, he almost subconsciously took out Wang Xiaoyuan's card from his arms, poured true qi into it, and shot it toward Warhammer. Originally, Li Fan only wanted to use this good guy card as a hidden weapon, but something unexpected happened. The good guy card suddenly blossomed with a dazzling light in midair, causing everyone to subconsciously close their eyes. When they opened their eyes again, a living Wang Xiaoyuan appeared in the air. However, she was different from the green tea bitch he knew. This Wang Xiaoyuan was wearing a beautiful battle suit, just like the armor in Saint Seiya. Holding a shield in her left hand and a sword in her right, she pounced on Warhammer. What the fuck? What's going on? Li Fan was a little surprised. Is the good guy card working? Warhammer was calm. After all, he was dizzy and couldn't see what was going on at all. In the blink of an eye, Wang Xiaoyuan had already thrown herself in front of him. Chapter 533. Wang Xiaoyuan, who looked like a Saint Seiya, blocked Warhammer's charge with her shield. Although Wang Xiaoyuan's body was sent flying, Warhammer's footsteps were also blocked for a second. That second was enough for Yushi. She flung out a blade aura and cut the metal rod that was releasing the magnetic field in half. Wang Xiaoyuan also got up from the ground. She had one of her arms cut off by Warhammer, but she didn't show any expression. She just continued to attack Warhammer with her sword in the other hand. Yushi also jumped to Warhammer's head and slashed down with her blade. Although the spinning Warhammer was very powerful, it couldn't hit the target above its head. This time, the blade cut a crack in Warhammer's helmet. He rolled to the ground, got up again, and quickly scanned the battlefield. The tinnitus was gone, and Warhammer saw Yushi's figure again, including the woman who rushed to him with one arm. The woman didn't seem to feel pain at all. She held a sword and slashed at Warhammer's head. Warhammer's hammer swept, and her body was directly smashed into the air. Li Fan felt that it was a pity. This B-level good guy card seemed to only have this much power. She was completely a meat shield. Li Fan thought while fighting Yu Hang. Why did Wang Xiaoyuan appear in this form? Although her armor was a bit ordinary, there were some lion shapes printed on it. Moreover, Her shield was a silver lion head. Li Fan wondered if it had something to do with Wang Xiaoyuan being a Leo. The B-level Wang Xiaoyuan didn't seem to have much combat power. In the blink of an eye, she was smashed by Warhammer's hammer twice, and bits of starlight scattered. The good guy card returned to Li Fan's hand, and it had turned grey. It seemed that this good guy card couldn't be used for the time being. Li Fan took a closer look and saw a small Leo symbol in the lower corner of the card. Sure enough, it was a bit similar to what he had guessed. Warhammer and Yu Shi fought again, and Yu Hang also attacked from behind Li Fan. This killer, who was about to be promoted to a white card, had superior skills. Moreover, the Scorpion martial art was too sinister, making Li Fan a little tired to deal with it. The Fist of the Seven Heroes pursued a one-hit kill. This was the first time Li Fan had been entangled for so long. Most importantly, he couldn't catch a glimpse of Yu Hang. Li Fan took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Mind Eye. Li Fan did not know what the mind's eye was. Although he closed his eyes, he could still determine it through the sound. However, the Scorpion art could come and go without a trace, not even making a sound. It was basically impossible to determine its location by listening to the wind. As for the mind's eye, it was extremely mysterious. Although Li Fan could sometimes sense the changes in all living things, it was only when he was cultivating. At that time, his state of mind was at peace, as if he could become one with nature. But now that they were fighting, how could they easily enter such a state? But he had other ideas. Li Fan closed his eyes and released his true qi, filling the surroundings and forming a unique space. Within a radius of 30 meters, everything was under Li Fan's control. In this space, even the slightest fluctuation could be felt by Li Fan. Soon, a figure crawling away alerted Li Fan's true qi. Chasing deer. Li Fan suddenly lifted his leg. With a blue electric light, he swept Yu Hang's shoulder. Bang! Yu Hang's body was kicked high into the air and hit the second floor's balcony. He endured the injury, split open his legs, and hung on the second floor. Yu Hang's body turned, and with a half moon illuminates the river, he prepared to kick Li Fan's head. Beating the tiger. The moment Yu Hang's body entered the range of his true qi, Li Fan also saw his opponent's flaw. Bang! Yu Hang's body was heavily injured once again. His chest took a slap from Li Fan, and he was sent flying and fell to the ground. Li Fan spread out his hands, and with his eyes still closed, he stood in the same spot. Yu Hang wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He looked at Li Fan in the warehouse, and his brows deeply furrowed. Yu Hang grabbed a brick from the side, and directly crushed it into a handful of crushed stones. Then, he used it as a hidden weapon, and threw it at Li Fan opposite him. A pile of hidden weapons went straight for Li Fan. After entering Li Fan's true qi domain, they were all crushed by his crane hand. Yu Hang felt a trace of unease. He quickly moved around Li Fan, throwing crushed stones in all directions, as if trying to determine Li Fan's blind spots. But no matter which direction it was, Li Fan could easily knock the stone away every time. He had no blind spots. Yu Hang gritted his teeth. Suddenly, he saw a few corpses on the ground, and immediately grabbed them and threw them at Li Fan. At the same time, he also pounced forward, mixed in with the corpses, and attacked Li Fan together. This time, Li Fan was indeed confused by the corpses. He used the crane hand a few times, but it didn't feel right. But Li Fan couldn't let any of them go. When one of the crane hand hit, Li Fan's true qi felt strange. The opponent's leg broke through his true qi, and went straight for his face. Scorpion tail needle. Yu Hang's shout rang in his ears, but Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes. He stretched out his right hand, and pinched the air. Unknowingly, Li Fan's true qi had turned into a chain, and wrapped around Yu Hang's body, fixing him to the ground. Yu Hang stood there, both his hands and legs tied up, and the ultimate move he was about to use was also block. Toad transformation. This was the flexible use of Li Fan's move. True qi exploded from Yu Hang's body and attacked the chains, shattering the chains formed from true qi. But for Li Fan, it was enough. He was already in front of Yu Hang, and a Ape King cannon hit Yu Hang's chest. Bang! Yu Hang's body flew out like a cannonball, blasting through the wall of the warehouse, and fell outside. And on the other side, Warhammer was also being forced back by Yu Shi. Seeing that Yu Hang was defeated, he seemed to have lost the will to fight, and wanted to escape. Li Fan chased him to the outside of the wall, and saw only a pool of blood on the ground. Yu Hang had escaped some time ago. Mpich, you sure run fast. Li Fan snorted coldly. This Yu Hang's combat strength was high, and his martial arts were also very strong. If he didn't have toad transformation, it would be really difficult to deal with him. Untrustworthy Chinese, Warhammer scolded, and he retreated as if he was looking for a chance to escape. After Yu Hang fled, Li Fan walked to Liao Wushuang's side. At this time, Liao Wushuang was scared out of her wits. She leaned against the wall, trembling. Li Fan gently held Liao Wushuang's shoulder, trying to comfort her. And Liao Wushuang also leaned into Li Fan's embrace, but at this moment, Liao Wushuang's hand suddenly pressed against Li Fan's chest. Chapter 534. Liao. Before Li Fan could finish his words, a small pistol in Liao Wushuang's hand had already smashed his chest. The bullet came out of Li Fan's back and hit the wall. Warhammer glanced at this side, a smile hanging on the corner of his mouth. You should have done it a long time ago. Flames spurted out from his back, and he quickly glided on the ground, grabbed Liao Wushuang, and fled through the broken wall. Li Fan's vision turned black, and his whole body fell backward heavily, smashing into the ground with a bang. He seemed to see his deceased grandparents standing in front of him, stretching out their hands and smiling at him, as if they wanted to guide him away from here. Li Fan. Yu Shi almost knelt on the ground. You can't die. Her voice, in Li Fan's ears, was getting weaker and weaker. At this moment, the good guy card in Li Fan's arms suddenly jumped out by itself, as if it had been activated again. Wang Xiaoyuan, who was wearing the lion battle suit, picked up Yu Shi and rushed out of the warehouse with her, running hundreds of meters away. What are you doing? Let me go. Yu Shi wanted to push Wang Xiaoyuan away, but Wang Xiaoyuan didn't have the slightest emotion, just stood there, not letting go of Yu Shi. In the next second, the abandoned warehouse suddenly trembled violently, and then it began to collapse. All the plants within a radius of 100 meters quickly withered, as if the life energy was concentrated in one place. Together with all the surrounding electricity, it was sucked into Li Fan's body. At this time, Li Fan slowly floated in the air, vaguely like a black hole, sucking away everything around him. Star Luo Supreme skill automatically operated in his body, forming a small universe vortex, absorbing the surrounding life energy. Li Fan slowly stood up, his eyes emitting a scarlet light. Different from the usual Li Fan, his skin was dark black, and his hair had grown a lot longer. He stood there bare-chested, looking up at the sky. Every time he moved forward, a large patch of wild grass would wither and die in the area. It was clearly spring, the time when all living things were recovering, but it was ushering in the god of death that was even more terrifying than the end of winter. Yu Shi watched this scene from afar, her heart beating like a bell. Li Fan, what's wrong with him? Li Fan seemed to have changed into a different person. He raised his head and glanced at the sky. Then, a circle of green light burst out from his body. He half-squatted on the ground and bounced off his feet. Bang! The ground seemed to tremble and Li Fan's body suddenly shot up. With this leap, Li Fan crossed over 100 meters and appeared behind Warhammer in an instant. What? From the alarm on the radar, Warhammer discovered Li Fan chasing after him. He let out a strange cry, not daring to believe his eyes. He pulled open the wings on his armor and ran for his life with all his might. And Li Fan, who was supposed to be dead, had actually caught up. Did you really kill him? Warhammer bellowed. I pierced his heart. Liao Wushuang's voice was cold and indescribably strange. I definitely won't miss, damn it, but he's alive now, and even more powerful. While speaking, Li Fan had already landed on Warhammer's body. He stood on Warhammer's back and without waiting for Warhammer to react, he had already smashed his fist down. Bang! Warhammer directly spat out a mouthful of blood. His waist was pierced through by Li Fan's attack, and he could no longer maintain his balance in the air and fell to the ground. The system notification stated that Warhammer's life force was rapidly decreasing and he was not far from death. Under the effect of Starluo Divine Art, Li Fan's combat strength had greatly increased. Moreover, he had destroyed Warhammer's spine and ended his life. Liao Wushuang looked at Li Fan's falling body with complicated feelings. She pressed a button on her watch, and the armor on Warhammer's body immediately began to separate. Then, piece by piece, it was put on Liao Wushuang's body. Soon, this black and red armor became Liao Wushuang's possession. The moment she landed, the armor spurted out air, stabilizing her body and allowing her to steadily fall to the ground. The armor also reminded Liao Wushuang that her life force was rapidly decreasing and automatically activated the magnetic field protection. Li Fan also fell straight to the ground, leaving a deep pit on the ground. He stretched out his hand toward Liao Wushuang, and a strong true qi burst out from his palm and hit Liao Wushuang's body. Bang! Liao Wushuang felt as if she was hit by a cannon. Her body flew upside down, and her true qi constantly impacted backward to stabilize her body. Liao Wushuang looked at the emotionless Li Fan in front of her, and looked at the bullet hole scar on his chest, and her heart twitched. "I'm sorry," she only said such a sentence, then put her arms together, combined into an electromagnetic cannon, and fired at Li Fan. However, Li Fan simply waved his hand and smashed the electromagnetic cannonball. King Kong! Liao Wushuang was a little shocked. She knew Li Fan's strength. It was impossible for him to block the electromagnetic cannon so easily with his current strength. What kind of palm technique is this? How did he come back from the dead? Since the plan failed, it was not a place to stay for long. Liao Wushuang looked at Li Fan's appearance, and the scenes of the past echoed in her heart. She had to go back. Perhaps, this time, her father will be disappointed with her again. A daughter who can't practice martial arts was expelled from the family. Looking at Li Fan walking in front of her and his raised palm, Liao Wushuang simply closed her eyes. Perhaps, it would be good to die like this. But at this moment, a figure suddenly stood in front of her and used his neck to block Li Fan's knife. Clang! As if hitting the golden bell, Li Fan's palm bounced off. Amitabha! A young monk stood there, turned his head and said to the dumbfounded Liao Wushuang, "Female benefactor, although you are quite beautiful, now is not the time for this little monk to flirt." Liao Wushuang did not hesitate and immediately turned to leave. "After he wakes up, remember to tell him that my name is Liao Qianqian." M.I. Ta. For, Subhuti smiled bitterly, thinking whether this little monk could live until then or not. He had just returned from wandering outside and found that the murderous aura here was soaring to the sky. He rushed over to take a look, and it turned out that this person with murderous aura was Li Fan. This little monk just went out for a few days to help the female benefactor. How did you become like this? Subhuti looked at the dark version of Li Fan in front of him and grinned. Such a heavy inner demon, let this little monk help you. Before he finished speaking, Li Fan had already slapped his face. Bang! Subhuti's body was hit and slid a meter away, and his forehead was still emitting smoke. Chapter 535. Damn it! This time, body grimaced in pain. What kind of strength is this? Li Fan took another step forward, and the ground around him was withered. Body thought to himself, thank goodness I have the invincible golden body, otherwise I would have been sucked dry. When had Li Fan practiced such an evil technique? Why did he feel like he was the legendary undying evil Buddha that sucked away one's life force? But the abbot had said that even if the evil Buddha was reborn, he would be his only nemesis. Benefactor Li, wake up. Body tried to persuade him, but Li Fan seemed to have turned a deaf ear to him. He kept attacking Body with his palms. If not for Body's invincible golden body, he would have been smashed into meat paste. Body felt that Li Fan had lost his mind, so he put his palms together and closed his eyes, allowing Li Fan to hit him as he chanted the Diamond Sutra. The Diamond Sutra carried Body's true qi, and every word entered Li Fan's ears, attacking the depths of his soul. His voice became louder and louder, shaking the air. Li Fan seemed to be affected, and his attacks became stronger and stronger. Even though Body had the invincible golden body, he was still beaten to the point of vomiting blood. But he still gritted his teeth, enduring the roiling of his internal organs, and continued to chant the sutra loudly. The sutra was clear and pleasant to the ear. Li Fan struck 7 or 8 palms in a row, and the last palm was condensed with true qi, ready to strike down. His palm stopped in front of Body's forehead, and his eyes slowly regained clarity. The skin on his upper body also recovered, turning back to white. "Fuck your Buddha," Subhuti couldn't help but curse out loud. "I've finally recovered. I nearly died for real." Li Fan looked at his hands and seemed to be able to vaguely guess what he had done. "Just now, what did I do?" Li Fan seemed to have just woken up, but he knew that he must have done something he should not have done. "You nearly killed me." Body circulated his internal energy to regulate his breathing. At the same time, he replied to Li Fan, "What kind of martial arts did you practice? Why is it so strange?" As he spoke, he glanced at the ground. Li Fan followed his gaze and looked down. Sure enough, the ground was already a patch of withered grass. There was no sign of life within 100 meters. Even some mosquitoes had suffered an unexpected disaster and died in large numbers. Li Fan was clearly aware that this was the sin caused by the Starnet Supreme technique. He had already switched his mental cultivation method back to the 7 Heroes Force in time to prevent himself from doing something irreversible. All he could remember was that Liao Wushuang had shot him before he fainted. Li Fan immediately checked his chest and found that there was a bullet hole, but it had magically healed. It seemed like the Stellar Luo Supreme Art had saved his life. But because of this, it also activated some terrifying things. Li Fan could vaguely feel that something in his body was itching to break free from the restraints of his body and go on a killing spree. "Teacher Liao," Li Fan touched the bullet hole in his chest and seemed to feel a kind of pain. This kind of pain was a little heart-wrenching. After all, Liao Wushuang already had a place in his heart. She actually wanted to kill him. Could it be that she really didn't care about the relationship between the two of them? If not for the Stellar Luo Supreme Art, he would probably be dead. "Oh right, there was a female benefactor who asked me to tell you that her name is Liao Qianqian." "I got it." Li Fan nodded and was a little silent. After all, he really didn't know what to say. His worldview had just been impacted. Obviously. Liao Wushuang. No, Liao Qianqian was the spy that Storm had placed beside him. Storm had tried to assassinate him so many times. She was probably the one who tipped him off. Sigh. "I'm such a failure." Li Fan felt like crying, but as a man, he couldn't cry. When was the last time he cried? Li Fan had somewhat forgotten. "Looks like this little monk can't be too far away from you," Subhuti said, "otherwise, the next time you act up, this little monk won't be able to help you." "This is the last time." Li Fan solemnly swore, absolutely the last time. The reason why he said this was that he would never be fooled by a woman in the future. Secondly, this Stellar Luo Supreme Art saved him once, but could it save him a second time? Life was fragile. It was impossible to rely on a divine art to make oneself immortal. After all, he was not an undying evil Buddha. "I hope so, but it's better for this little monk to keep an eye on you." Subhuti felt that the reason why he could meet Li Fan was probably because of the fate given by Buddha. Every drink and every peck is predetermined. Amitabha. "All right, you don't have to chant Buddha's name anymore." Li Fan looked at the mess around him and the corpse of Warhammer. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. This guy was already dead. He had harassed him so many times like a cockroach. But now, he was indeed dead. But the person who replaced him was a person that he could not imagine and did not want to hurt. That was Liao Wushuang. Forget it, it's useless to think about it. Li Fan stretched. "Let's go back to the warehouse and take a look. Maybe she is still waiting for me. This little monk will accompany you." Subhuti stuck to him like a dogskin plaster. Li Fan did not refuse and let him follow him. After recovering his original strength, Li Fan did not have the ability to jump hundreds of meters. He used his qinggong and quickly approached the warehouse. But when he arrived, Yushi was no longer there. Only Wang Xiaoyuan, who was wearing a lion armor, was still standing there. Why did this guy come out by himself? But Li Fan vaguely remembered that before he fainted, he was subconsciously worried that he would use Stellar Luo Supreme Art. He also knew how powerful this Stellar Luo Supreme Art was. Subconsciously, he wanted Yushi to stay away from him. It was probably because of this thought that the good guy card condensed into Wang Xiaoyuan and escorted Yushi away. What about her? Li Fan asked. The character transformed by the good guy card didn't seem to be able to speak. She just shook her head and pointed to the east. Did she go back to the city? Li Fan was deep in thought. She probably went to deal with her issues. Then what should we do now? Of course, she went back too. I also have a lot of things to deal with. Li Fan thought of a lot of things. It was impossible not to be upset. He wanted to think for a while, but the phone in his trouser pocket rang. Li Fan opened it and saw that it was Liu Xinnan. Li Fan, where are you? Come back quickly, I need your help. Liu Xinnan's phone call was very urgent. It seemed that the matter was indeed very important. Chapter 536. Did you also fail? In a large courtyard where no one knows who lived, a figure was sitting behind a curtain. This figure, if Li Fan saw him, he would definitely feel very familiar. That was because this person had cut off his own penis for him. The commander, Wang Ji, was sitting cross-legged, sewing a plate of embroidery in his hand. On this embroidery, there were 2 mandarin ducks, vivid and lifelike, as if they were alive. And Liao Wushuang, dressed in battle armor, was kneeling outside this curtain. It's really incredible. It seems that this Li Fan does have some ability. I want to see my father. Master Liao, he won't see you. The commander said, he has a lot of things to deal with. Not even a minute. Yes, not even a minute. Wang Ji sat there, sewing the embroidery while saying, you should know yourself. Master Liao doesn't like people without true qi. Who do you think you are? You're just his shadow. Liao Wushuang sneered. That's true, but if you want to see him, don't you still have to come and beg me? When Wang Dai smiled, it was a weird feeling. That's right, asking me to beg a person who is neither a man nor a woman, I'm also disgusted. Yo, listen to your words, it's full of thorns. Wang Ji was not angry at all. Instead, he pinched his orchid fingers and said to Liao Wushuang, look at this beautiful little face. How is it? Does it make Li Fan like it? What does it have to do with you? Liao Wushuang's voice was cold. If you ask one more question, I'll cut off your tongue. Yo, look at this cute little temper. However, I advise you not to fight with me, otherwise, it would be bad to hurt your beautiful little face. Since I can't see him, just pretend I never came. Liao Wushuang said, turned around and was about to leave. Yo, don't be in such a hurry to leave. Wang Ji said with a smile, you have to continue to stay by Li Fan's side. Are you crazy? Liao Wushuang frowned, I've been exposed. This is not what I said, but Master Liao ordered you. Liao Wushuang was silent for a moment. In any case, my words have been conveyed. It's up to you whether you want to listen or not. Got it. Liao Wushuang turned around and left the courtyard. I'm so envious. It's so good to be a woman. The chief looked at his embroidery with admiration in his eyes. This mandarin duck painting is almost done. I wonder if Li Fan will like it. Achoo, Li Fan sneezed loudly. He rubbed his nose in disbelief. Did you catch a cold? Liu Xinnan sat next to him and asked. How could a martial artist like me possibly catch a cold? Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. Someone must be thinking of me. I think someone scolded you. Liu Xinnan rolled her eyes. You're underestimating my charm. Li Fan sat in the back of the car and leaned close to Liu Xinnan. Do you dare to say that you don't miss me? Who wants to miss you, you bastard? Liu Xinnan looked out of the car window unnaturally. It was already dark outside, but the lights were bright. The not-so-wonderful nightlife of City A had just begun. The spring rain was like the patter of plum rain outside. The raindrops hit the car window, blurring the scenery outside. It's raining again. It's been raining non-stop recently. Liu Xinnan murmured, these are troubled times. Yes, but we'll be the ones to start it this time. Li Fan looked at the dozens of vans following behind. Aren't you afraid of going against Dragon Hall? Liu Xinnan asked one more question. Don't make trouble. Have you forgotten my nickname, Li Fan, the Little Overlord? Li Fan smiled. If I'm afraid of so many things, would I still be called the Little Overlord? Moreover, Dragon Hall has gone too far this time. I have to let them understand that City A is not their territory. The car drove to the front of a KTV. The dozens of vans stopped and surrounded the place. The people in the car jumped out one after another. These were not people from the Red Dragon Society. They were all Li Fan's bodyguards. Liu Qiong and Liu Zhuang also jumped out of the car. Both of them had a 7-hole knife in their arms. The devil incarnate was the most outrageous. The people who jumped out of the maid's car were all fierce bandits. This guy was a smuggler and had raised some ruthless people. None of these guys were good people. When each of them got out of the car, they were carrying a gun. Tonight, no one is allowed to steal my kill. Calm down. Li Fan patted his shoulder. It's not time for you to show your power yet. Big brother, the brothers are all here. Huang Lei helped Li Fan count the number of people. We have a total of 20 brothers. The devil incarnate's 5 helpers are all here. Okay. Brother, isn't this a bit too few? Huang Lei was still a little worried. He knew about this place. The one in charge of this place is Xiao Dong. He's quite ruthless. He can call 40 to 50 people in a minute with a phone call. He's been with me for so long. How can you still ask such a question? Li Fan looked at Huang Lei. Lei, you seem to be afraid of fighting recently. Not really. Brother, Huang Lei said a little embarrassedly, that Xiao Huan is still waiting for me. I want to go back early to accompany her. Li Fan hesitated again and again. Finally, he pulled Huang Lei's arm and said, Lei, after this, you can go back to the billiard hall. Do some solid business so that you can feel more at ease. Big brother, Huang Lei was a little embarrassed as he touched the back of his head. Don't laugh at me. I won't. It's good to be stable. Li Fan smiled and didn't say much. He couldn't help but think of Huang Lei who just met him. The Huang Lei who walked all over the field, splashed feces, and shouted that he wanted to follow him. Now that he wanted to live a comfortable life, Li Fan wouldn't force him to follow him. Thank you, big brother. Well, you watch the car outside. Putty, you accompany him. Amitabha. Putty put his palms together and agreed. Okay, the rest, is there anyone who wants to stay? Li Fan asked. Let's hurry up, boss. The people below couldn't wait. Li Fan smiled. Okay, let's go. Yang Ruining was here. Last time, he took away Liu Xinnan. This time, it was Li Fan's turn to take him away. If he was here, the vanguard would have a backbone. Without him, the 4 halls could be destroyed. This was the first step to deal with the vanguard. There were 2 thugs standing at the entrance of the KTV. When they saw so many people coming, they immediately went forward to stop them. What are you doing? Making trouble? Fuck, don't you know whose territory this is? Chapter 537. Xiao Dong is a famous hooligan in the underworld. He is famous for his ruthlessness. Xiao Dong's underlings are dozens of thugs, and all of them are ruffians and scoundrels. None of them are good people. Xiao Dong has been hanging around in the underworld with a group of brothers, living day by day. They all know that he is a ruffian, so they are not willing to provoke him. Later on, Xiao Dong met Yang Ruining. Yang Ruining admires him and let him manage the KTV under his name. At this time, Li Fan and his men have surrounded the KTV, but the 2 thugs at the door are not afraid. With such a small number of people, they still dare to come to Brother Dong's place and cause trouble. They are really courting death. They think that they are Brother Dong's men, and with their reputation, These troublemakers will naturally be scared away when they hear their names. Li Fan did not say anything. With his hands in his pockets, he stands behind. The devil incarnate walks forward and stabs a thug's shoulder with his gun, pinning him to the wall. That thug screams in pain. His companion is so scared that he almost peed and kneels on the ground. This is not right. In the past, when others heard Brother Dong's name, they would leave. Why did they directly attack today? Where is Yang Ruining? Liu Xinnan uses her high heels to step on that thug's palm and interrogate him. I don't know, that thug replied with fear, but he seems to be hiding something. Puff. Li Fan's finger poked the thug's arm. His finger directly pierced into the flesh, causing him to scream in pain. A drizzle is falling, and the sound of the rain mixed with the thug's scream. You still have one arm and two legs. Li Fan's emotionless voice rang in his ears. This thug is frightened. They are ruthless, but it seems that this group of people is even more ruthless. Meeting this kind of people, they can only admit defeat. Ruthless doesn't mean that they are not afraid of death. Furthermore, they are living well now, and no one wants to die. With Li Fan's threat, that thug obediently confesses the place. Bang! Sun Qingchen picked up the pistol in his hand and knocked the thug's head with the butt of the gun, immediately knocking him unconscious. Let's go. Liu Xinnan crossed her arms. Let's go in and have a chat with young Master Yang. The group walked into the nightclub. As soon as they entered, the waiter immediately greeted them enthusiastically. Everyone, do you want a big bag? For the next 2 days of Qingming Festival, there will be a 20% discount. Li Fan wanted to curse. Why the fuck are you giving a discount on Qingming Festival? This was a KTV, a place to have fun. This wasn't a circle of tombs, a place to burn incense. Bang! Sun Qingchen's arm was pressed against this person's neck, and the pistol in his hand was shining brightly, scaring the waiter so much that his legs almost went soft. Sure, Sun Qingchen made a shushing gesture, and the waiter did not dare to make a sound. This group of people, are they here to seek revenge? There were some girls passing by in the corridor. When they saw this, they screamed in fear and turned to run. You see, you're too ugly. You're scaring them badly. Li Fan could not help but ridicule this devil incarnate. After all, this devil incarnate's appearance is indeed a bit fierce. Previously, he did not explain that the reason why this devil incarnate has such a title is not only because of his fierce character, but also because of his appearance. It's really too horrible to look at. This person's eyes are almost vertical, his face is fierce, and his lower lip is a bit turned outwards. His 2 canine teeth are a bit long and protrude from his lips. Those who do not know might think that this devil incarnate is a beastman at first glance. Fuck, how am I ugly? The devil incarnate said unwillingly. My mom already said that I look like Andy Lau, a handsome guy. Li Fan did not have the strength to ridicule. This is called Andy Lau. This is too insulting to Hua Zai. These girls were all scared away, and Li Fan and his group also came to the front of room 999. At the door of the room, there are 4 Vanguard elites, and they are all from the fire hall. When they saw a group of people walking over, they immediately unconsciously pulled out the axes behind them. However, Liu Qiong and Liu Zhuang were even faster. The 2 of them were holding 7-hole sabers in their hands. Each of them had 2 7-hole sabers. When the 4 fire hall axemen had just pulled out their axes, they had already chopped them to the ground. The devil incarnate raises his foot and kicks the door of the room open. Sure enough, Yang Ruining is sitting inside. Not only is he hugging women on his left and right, there is also a girl lying on his lap, using her warm little mouth to serve Yang Ruining. Seeing Liu Xinnan and the others suddenly breaking the door, Yang Ruining was almost scared to death. Yo, young Master Yang, you really know how to enjoy yourself. Liu Xinnan crossed her arms and looked at Yang Ruining with an appreciative attitude. Even Japanese movies are not as exciting as this. But young Master Yang, isn't your life a bit too short? How did you get in? Yang Ruining becomes nervous, but a swift and fierce man directly stands up from his side. This brother is bare-chested, and there is a tan tiger tattoo on his body. The tiger head is tattooed on his chest, and a pair of bell-like eyes are staring at Li Fan, as if he wants to tear him apart. Jin Hui. From this tattoo, Li Fan can recognize this person's identity. Fuck your mother, all of you go to hell. Jin Hui picks up an axe from the table beside him, steps on the table, and jumps up high, aiming at Li Fan's head, chopping down. This Jin Hui is really fierce, but he is a bit stupid. Li Fan did not move an inch, but the devil incarnate beside him steps forward and stabs the air with his spear. Pu. Jin Hui's lower abdomen is directly pierced, and his whole body hangs there, screaming in pain. I thought the Fire Hall Master is some kind of hero, but after seeing him today, he turns out to be an idiot. Li Fan sighs. I don't think so. But Yang Ruining smiles confidently. Then, an amazing scene appears. This Jin Hui's feet actually reach the table, and then he grabs the spear, and with the strength of one arm, he lifts up the devil incarnate. Quickly let go. Li Fan is worried that the devil incarnate will have an accident, and quickly shouts. The devil incarnate is not stupid, although he likes to fool around, he is not an idiot. This guy immediately releases the spear and jumps to the side. Jin Hui stands on the table, and forcibly pulls the spear out from his lower abdomen, and blood spurts out like a fountain. But the wound quickly heals, and in a moment, there is only a scar left on Jin Hui's abdomen. He stands there energetically, and throws the spear at the devil incarnate. Li Fan stretches out his hand, and stops the spear in midair. Normal people, how can they heal their wounds so quickly? Li Fan only thinks of one person, Bai Lin Luo. He has superpowers, then this Jin Hui in front of him, is he also a superpower user? Hehe, it seems that this devil medicine is really effective. However, Yang Ruining's words make Li Fan understand. Chapter 538. Yang Ruining seems to have expected that there will be a battle, so he gave his hall master Jin Hui Sam's forbidden drug, demon. Li Fan did not know what is the use of the demon. It seems like other than strengthening the human body, it can also make people lose their sense of pain and quickly heal their body. Demon. Although this drug is powerful, I heard that after taking it, a person will not live past 40. Liu Xinnan frowns as she looks at Yang Ruining. You are really ruthless. Hehe, in any case, after 40, Jin Hui's fighting strength will drop greatly. Yang Ruining shrugs his shoulders while caressing the beauty's head, letting her continue to serve him. Besides, I did not force Jin Hui. Everything is his own will. My lowly life was originally saved by young Master Yang. Jin Hui's gaze is firm. To be able to work for young Master Yang is my honor. With that, Jin Hui picks up 2 axes again and jumps down from the table, wanting to chop Li Fan and the rest into minced meat. But Sun Qingchen pulls out a pistol and points it at Jin Hui's head. So what if he is a demon? Can he still live with his head split open? Liu Xinnan asks. Clang. Jin Hui suddenly moves his body to the side and swings his axe at Sun Qingchen's hand. Sun Qingchen's reaction is very fast as he subconsciously uses his pistol to block. It was that crisp sound just now that had sent his pistol flying. The axe in Jin Hui's hand swings towards Sun Qingchen's lower abdomen. If Sun Qingchen is struck by the axe, he does not have Jin Hui's life-risking healing ability. Li Fan stretches out 2 fingers and pinches the axe. Jin Hui wants to pull his axe, but he realizes that the axe seems to be rusted and is unable to move. Let go of me. The axe in Jin Hui's other hand swings towards Li Fan, but Li Fan only stretches out a finger and the axe in Jin Hui's hand is sent flying. Clang. The axe struck the ceiling overhead, shattering a large lamp. Fuck you. Jin Hui's temper is obviously not good. His head ruthlessly knocks Li Fan's head, but Li Fan is unmoved. Bang. Jin Hui felt as if he had hit an iron plate. Although he didn't feel any pain, he was still dizzy from the impact. A huge bump appeared on his forehead. Pu. Liu Qiong chopped off one of Jin Hui's legs from the side, and Jin Hui fell to the ground with a plop. Liu Zhuang came over and stabbed a knife into his head, giving him a fatal stab. Although this demonic potion is very annoying, I don't know if I can still come back to life after my head is pierced. Li Fan looked at Jin Hui again and found that it was indeed impossible for him to get up. This man was as good as dead. Young Master Yang, you have to go back and find them. You bought fake medicine. Li Fan quickly said, I don't know what kind of person you are, but if I were you, I definitely wouldn't tolerate it. Yang Ruining clenched his fists. He didn't dare to say a word. He wasn't in the mood to let a beauty serve him. How big of a heart could he have? Liu Xinnan. You guys are so aggressive. What exactly do you want? Although Yang Ruining's heart ached for Jin Hui's death, it wasn't the time to worry about others. His own life was the most important thing. Yang Ruining looked at Liu Xinnan. Nan, we've known each other for many years. You won't forget our past friendship, right? Past friendship? Liu Xinnan couldn't help but laugh. Young Master Yang, how come I didn't know that we still have a past friendship? We grew up together, Wang Yarrow said. Yang Ruining quickly said, have you forgotten? When we were young, I even taught you how to fly a kite. Yang Ruining, are you kidding me? Liu Xinnan couldn't help but laugh. Why don't you say that you taught me how to ride a horse? We did have a little friendship in the past, but that was when we were 5 or 6 years old. Using this friendship as a bargaining chip, Yang Ruining, this doesn't seem like something you would do. Liu Xinnan, then what do you want? Yang Ruining's attitude hardened again. Don't forget that I'm from Dragon Hall. If you touch me, not only will you provoke the Vanguard army, but you will also provoke Dragon Hall. Do I need you to remind me of these things? Liu Xinnan said bluntly. If I can come and capture you, naturally I'm not afraid of Dragon Hall. This city is the territory of the Red Dragon Society. It's not Dragon Hall's turn to be presumptuous. These words. You can't pretend that you didn't hear it, it doesn't matter if you heard it or not. Liu Xinnan didn't care at all. This time, I'm here for Dragon Hall. Take him away. Liu Xinnan waved her hand. Liu Qiong and Liu Zhuang stepped forward and pulled Yang Ruining up. Let go. I can walk by myself. Yang Ruining still wanted to maintain his aristocratic temperament. But Liu Xinnan laughed. Are you learning from me? I won't let you do as you wish. Young Master Yang's body is priceless. How can he walk by himself? Break his legs and carry him out. Liu Xinnan. You dare. Yang Ruining was shocked. Just as he was about to get up, Li Fan had already kicked him twice, breaking Yang Ruining's calf bone. He screamed in pain again and again. Kneeling on the ground, he clutched his leg and screamed non-stop. Li Fan. Li Fan. Motherfucker, you lackey. Yang Ruining was in great pain. He lost his composure and lost his demeanor. He kept cursing in pain. It was as if this could lessen his pain. You're dead. You're dead. Yang Ruining screamed again and again like a pig being slaughtered. Isn't it just a broken leg? Is there a need to scream like this? Li Fan curled his lips. Are you still a man? Li Fan. You're Liu Xinnan's dog. Yang Ruining's eyes were red. He roared at Li Fan. When she's done with you, you'll die a horrible death. All right, young Master Yang. Maintain your composure. Li Fan pointed at Jin Hui, who was lying on the ground. Look at your brother. He's so strong-willed. His head was pierced through, but he didn't make a sound. That's what a real man is. Yang Ruining wanted to curse. He was fucking dead from the explosion. How could he make a sound? Come. Carry him out. Be steady. Don't let our young Master Yang move. His body is fragile. It'll be over if he's injured. Remember, not a single hair on young Master Yang's body is missing. Do you hear me? Yes. A few of his bodyguards shouted in unison. Yang Ruining felt like crying. Fuck, you broke both my legs. Now you're telling me not to lose a single hair. Losing a strand of hair is nothing. This young master's legs are broken now, okay. A few people carried Yang Ruining and walked out just like that. But before they could leave the KTV, the entrance was surrounded by a group of people. Each of these people had a spear in their hands, and they were all tough stubble. The leader was a young man. Half his hair was dyed yellow, and the other half was dyed green. He was originally taking snuff, but when he saw Yang Ruining being carried out, His eyes immediately turned red. Chapter 539. Fuck you. What did you do to young Master Yang? Xiao Dong had received Yang Ruining's kindness before. Seeing Yang Ruining's suffering made him angrier than killing his father. Fuck. How dare they cause trouble here? Brothers, get your weapons. Kill them all. Lil Dong roared, and the 50 brothers behind him all picked up their guns and rode their electric scooters, rushing towards Li Fan and the others. Xiao Dong really knows how to deploy. Half of the 50 men were in charge of riding the electric scooters, and the other half sat at the back. Every one of them had a gun in their hands, just like a road rider. Damn. You still want to play tactics with me? The devil incarnate waved his hand. Brothers, let them know what tactics are. The 20-odd men immediately took out bricks from their waist pouches and weighed them in their hands. Then, they threw the bricks at the cavalrymen in front of them. Cavalry, even if you see a brick formation, you will have to lie down. A round of bricks smashed on the heads of those electric scooters. Their safety helmets were useless as they were all smashed through. The riders were flipped over, and the people behind them with guns also fell to the ground. These guys had all learned some hidden weapons from Yin Xiuru. Each of them carried 3 bricks on their backs, which they could use as hidden weapons at critical moment. Now, the 3 bricks that were given to each of them had taken effect. 2 rounds of bricks rained down, and all the cavalrymen fell to the ground. Huang Lei was sitting in a van, and when he saw this scene, he dropped the cigarette in his mouth. Fuck. This is a brick team versus a midnight rider, Amitabha. Putty sat by the side, clasped his hands together, and chanted Buddha's name. You big monk, what are you chanting? Do you chant scriptures when you visit prostitutes? Huang Lei couldn't help but ask. This little monk is expiating the female benefactor, Putty emphasized. Benefactor Huang, please don't misunderstand this little monk. Misunderstand your sister. Then I will not bring you next time. Amitabha. How can I do that? This little monk has Buddhist energy, and if I don't expiate the female benefactor, I will feel uncomfortable. It's a pity that I have to support my family in the future. I probably won't have the mood to go to those places. Huang Lei sighed. But it doesn't matter. Let the devil incarnate carry you. He's even more playful than me. He has 100 different ways to masturbate. He's the king of fancy masturbation. Cold sweat began to drip down Subhuti's forehead. What the hell was going on? On the other side, the brick team led by the devil incarnate had defeated all the cavalrymen. Xiao Dong was also dumbfounded. He stood there blankly and looked at the electric scooters on the ground. He also looked at his brothers. His brain was in a daze. How could this be possible? His own cavalry was unstoppable on the road. But now, why was he so easily defeated by someone? I'm sorry. The devil incarnate raised his leg and kicked Xiao Dong to the ground. Then, he shot him in the chest. Xiao Dong's pupils dilated. Before he died, he saw a lot. He regretted coming to this place, and he shouldn't have done this line of work, if there is an afterlife. I hope I can be a good person. Xiao Dong slowly closed his eyes. Let's go. The next step is going to be a tough battle. Li Fan ordered a few of his men. Spread the news that Yang Ruining is being held in Mansion 101. Yes. These security guards were Li Fan's men. They followed Li Fan's orders. I'm afraid the next period will be the most difficult. Liu Xinnan looked at Yang Ruining, who was being carried into the car, and turned to Li Fan. If it's not difficult, then it's boring. Li Fan smiled. I'm bored recently. Let's play with the Vanguard and Dragon Hall. The people we need to be careful of are the 12 saints of Dragon Hall. Liu Xinnan told Li Fan. The 4 halls of the Vanguard are nothing to be afraid of. As long as we capture Yang Ruining, they will be lambs waiting to be slaughtered. What the hell are the 12 saints of Dragon Hall? Do you think there are no martial arts experts in Dragon Hall? Liu Xinnan said. It is said that the 12 saints of Dragon Hall used to be experts in World Alliance. After World Alliance disbanded, The 12 saints were hired by Dragon Hall at a high price. They entered Dragon Hall and served Dragon Hall for generations. Each of the 12 saints only accepts one disciple in their lifetime. Their disciples continue to serve Dragon Hall. So that's how it is. They used to be experts in World Alliance. Li Fan seemed to be looking forward to it. I really want to meet them. Yes. After this matter is settled, we should go to Great Ming's treasure. Liu Xinnan lowered her voice and whispered in Li Fan's ear. The investigation of the treasure is almost complete. We just need to prepare and then we can depart. That's good. Li Fan thought of the Vairocana Heart Sutra in the treasure and felt an itch in his heart. Okay, then let's deal with the matter in front of us first. Li Fan and Liu Xinnan took a car and rushed to Mansion 101. Li Fan still had to make arrangements. He was afraid that he would have to go through a few tough battles later, so he had to prepare well. This Mansion 101 was located in a relatively remote area of City A, but it was a very famous mansion. It was a club for many rich people to have fun. This mansion was also one of Liu Xinnan's properties. At this time, it was being used as their headquarters. At this time, Li Fan and Liu Xinnan were sitting on a large balcony of the mansion. They were eating while waiting for the vanguard to attack. It's a pity that Lei won't play with us in the future. The Demon King of Confusion asked as he sat beside Li Fan with a 5-shot on his shoulder. Yes, he has already found a suitable place. Li Fan said, a person who already has a harbor is not suitable for this line of work. Moreover, I didn't bring my brothers to bring you to your deaths. It's also to let you find the most suitable harbor and then watch you leave one by one. Fortunately, I don't have such a harbor. The devil's incarnation laughed out loud. I'm too ambitious. I want to be a big drug lord and control the entire drug business in China. Drug trafficking is not a good thing. Li Fan took a sip of champagne. It's a loss of virtue. I may not even have a next life, so what's the point of accumulating virtue? The devil incarnate grabbed a piece of steak with his hand and stuffed it into his mouth. Only the devil incarnate could eat in such a sorry manner. But, what does Lei's girlfriend look like? The devil incarnate said very directly, with his taste, he must find a pig. Fart. Li Fan couldn't help but spit out the wine he drank. These words were too much, but Li Fan felt that he couldn't refute it. But at this time, Li Fan suddenly received a phone call. It was from Ling Tian. Boss, be careful. The identity of Huang Lei's girlfriend has been found. Is it someone from Storm? No. Li Fan let out a sigh of relief. It's someone from the Vanguard. Chapter 540. Baby, I'm back. Huang Lei held a bouquet of roses in his hand and purposely wore a shabby suit. Tonight, although he was attacking Yang Ruining. But, it was also his girlfriend's birthday. Huang Lei had a diamond ring in his pocket, which he bought with all his savings. Although he earned a lot of money by following Li Fan, he also spent a lot of money, and a lot of it was wasted by him. In order to be with the person he loved, Huang Lei did not hesitate to take out the last of his coffin money. Originally, Huang Lei did not want to get married, so the little money he saved was all for his coffin money. As for now, it should be called wife money. Baby. Huang Lei returned to his rented house, but his girlfriend was nowhere to be seen. Baby. Isn't she at home? Huang Lei looked around for his girlfriend's figure, and at this time, the lights in the rented house suddenly went out, and the entire house was pitch black. Blackout? Huang Lei subconsciously reached for his phone, but he did not know what sent his phone flying. A candlelight lit up, and a woman's figure stood under the flickering light. Baby, is this a candlelight dinner for me? Huang Lei could not help but laugh. Baby is still the one with ideas, much more romantic than a rough person like me. Huang Lei, don't come over. Seeing that Huang Lei wanted to walk over, the woman asked coldly, let me ask you a question, answer me honestly. Ask, I love you, so I won't hide anything. Huang Lei immediately patted his chest. You love me? Do you really love me? Of course I really love you. We've been together for so long, Is there a need to ask? Then why didn't you tell me that you attacked young Ruining tonight? Ah! Huang Lei was very puzzled. Why do you want to know this? You're hiding something from me, so you don't really love me. The woman's voice became colder. You're just like other men, you're a liar. I'm really not. I don't work for Big Brother anymore. Huang Lei quickly explained, from today onwards, I plan to turn over a new leaf. I don't want to be a slacker anymore. I want to do something serious and work hard for our future. Then I'm sorry. There's no future between us. Ah, what did you say? Huang Lei was puzzled. Didn't you say yesterday that you wanted to be with me forever? That was before you lied to me. As soon as the woman finished speaking, the candlelight suddenly disappeared. The surroundings were plunged into darkness again. Baby, are you mad? Let me explain. Huang Lei quickly followed the direction of the voice and walked toward the woman. However, a woman's voice rang in his ears. Use your cheap life to do one last thing for me. After saying that, Huang Lei felt a sharp pain in his neck. His vision went black and he fainted. All men should end up like this. The sound slowly faded away. Li Fan put down his phone and shook his head at Liu Xinnan. Why don't I go and have a look? Xia Yi walked out from the side with her sword in her arms. She was wearing a white shirt, wide-legged pants, and a pair of sandals. Xia Yi's legs looked slender, and her figure was slim and beautiful. With the help of Liu Xinnan, she was attending a university in City A. She took advantage of the night break to come to the mansion to help Li Fan. No, senior sister, it's too dangerous. Li Fan waved his hand. You've just arrived in City A, you're not familiar with this place. But I want to share junior brother's burden. Xia Yi explained. I know. That's why senior sister Xia is here to help me. Li Fan looked at the dark night sky in front of him. I feel that they're coming. Huang Lei is an important chess piece for them. They'll definitely come out. Liu Xinnan comforted Li Fan. And Yang Ruining is also very important to them. I think they'll be here soon. While they were talking, there was a sudden roar of a car in the dark night. And it was not the sound of one car, but many cars. It was so late, and there were so many cars. They must be the vanguard. Soon, several trucks appeared in Li Fan's sight. They're here, they're here. The devil incarnate was very excited. He carried his 5-shot combo, looked into the distance, and licked his lips. The brick team won't be able to use it at such a distance. Liu Xinnan waved her hand and ordered Yu Feng. Red Dragon Archer Cavalry, get ready. Yes. Yu Feng was one of the few diehard loyalists. He nodded and whistled. The 12 women in red robes next to him pulled out the compound bows on their backs. One by one, they knocked their arrows and aimed at the approaching cars. Watching from the side, Li Fan couldn't help but want to praise them. These Red Dragon Archer Cavalry were the trump card of the Red Dragon Society. They were also the elites trained by Liu Xinnan after she took office. The 12 women were all good archers. They grew up with Liu Xinnan and practiced archery every day and night. If they weren't here to serve as the Red Dragon Archer Cavalry, these 12 women could show off their skills in the Olympic archery competition. Firearms. Even a group like the Red Dragon Society would not be able to get their hands on them easily. Especially in a second-tier city like a city, carrying a gun was not a small crime. Ordinary 5-shot combo guns or inferior pistols could be obtained, but they were too conspicuous and dangerous. But bows and arrows were different. The compound bow was a sports equipment, and the Red Dragon Society could get as many as they wanted. Tires. Liu Xinnan pointed with her finger. The 12 Red Dragon Archer Cavalry immediately pulled the bowstrings, and the bow was like a full moon. Bang, bang, bang. 12 vibrations sounded, and the air seemed to be torn apart. 12 arrows flew out, and each arrow hit the tires of a car. The trucks were forced to a halt, some even toppling over. But a truck rushed to the front, and at the same time, a few headlights on the roof lit up. On top of that car, a figure was tied up. Li Fan frowned. Shoot, aren't you Red Dragon Archer Cavalry good at shooting? A fat man sitting in a convertible pointed at the balcony of the club. If you have the guts, shoot this person to death. Come, come. Jiang Jun, are you stupid? Liu Xinnan looked at the leader of the Wind Hall, who is also Yang Ruining's strategist, Brain, Jiang Jun, and said into the loudspeaker, my Red Dragon Archer Cavalry's archery skills are this bad? He, who said you are Red Dragon Archer Cavalry? Jiang Jun clapped his hands, and the door of the truck next to him immediately opened, and 40 thugs of the fire hall jumped out. These thugs each held a crossbow in their hand, and all of them aimed at Huang Lei, who was illuminated by the headlights. Chapter 541. Scarlet Dragon Archer Cavalry Her? I have already thought of a way to deal with you. Jiang Jun sat on the carriage, holding a fan in his hand, fanning back and forth. Let's see which is faster, your arrows or my crossbow. Huang Lei being taken as a hostage was not out of Li Fan's expectation. He winked at Shay, who nodded and jumped silently from the battlement next to him. Jiang Jun, let's talk. Li Fan spoke. He did not use a loudspeaker, his voice was like a bell, clearly entering everyone's ears. Li Fan, I know you. Jiang Jun sat on the carriage, waving his fan, looking at the high and mighty Li Fan and sneered. Speak, what do you want to talk about? Hostage, exchange hostage. Li Fan smiled, although I feel that Yang Ruining's life is not worth the price of my brother, I am in a good mood today, so I will give you a discount. Let go of my brother, and I will return young Master Yang to you. Li Fan, do you think you are awesome? Jiang Jun looked at Li Fan indifferently. You always speak with a sense of mockery. Perhaps you think you are superior and different from everyone else, right? Oh. Li Fan looked at Jiang Jun. Then what about you? Do you think you have seen through me? Li Fan, I understand people like you. I know what you want to do. Jiang Jun sneered. People like you, with a bit of ability, you want to stand out from the crowd and stand out. You look down on everyone, thinking that you are the strongest, right? You mock our young master, isn't it to raise your own status? Jiang Jun ridiculed in all sorts of ways, seemingly trying to provoke Li Fan. But Li Fan was unmoved, still sitting there, speaking slowly. Jiang Jun, you dog of a strategist, don't think I don't know what you are thinking. Li Fan's expression was indifferent. He was unmoved by Jiang Jun's words. Kaga Boji, you don't need to hide anymore. Come out. As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, a man's figure appeared behind him. The man was short and wore a dark blue ninja outfit. He held a katana in his hand and stabbed towards Li Fan's neck. He tried to distract his attention, and then let the Kaga Hashimoto complete the assassination. Jiang Jun's idea was pretty good. However, Li Fan was no ordinary expert. Even Yama Palace and the Brocade Guards couldn't do anything to him, let alone a mere ninja. Li Fan stretched out 2 fingers and flicked the Tai Dao. The Tai Dao in the Kaga Hashimoto's hand trembled violently, but an ominous glint flashed in his eyes. His wrist actually sank a bit, forcefully pressing down on Li Fan's finger, pressing down on Li Fan's finger. He held the Tai Dao in one hand and a short sickle in the other, and hooked it towards Li Fan's neck. Puff! Li Fan's elbow first hit the ninja's chest, defeating his attack and sending him flying. But cold sweat had already appeared on the back of Li Fan's head. What was going on with this ninja? What a strange strength. This ninja was different from the island experts he had met in the past. This ninja did not cultivate any true energy. However, his strength was astonishing. It was like a type of energy that could contend against his own true energy. Don't underestimate the heroes of the world. Li Fan had been reminding himself. But he did not expect to meet an unexpected expert today. Kaga Hashimoto was an expert of the Kaga sect. After he was sent flying by Li Fan, his body disappeared in the air. Bang, bang, bang. The devil incarnate grabbed the 5 shots combo and fired 3 shots in a row, all hitting the air. Amitabha. Subhuti stood on the side, his hands clasped together, muttering sutras. Looking at his appearance, he seemed to have some understanding of these ninjas. Damn it, where is this shorty hiding? The devil incarnate knew nothing about these things. He looked around for the figure of Kaga Hashimoto. Don't look, the other party is a Kaga ninja. If he wants to hide, we can't find him. Subhuti reminded, he can completely hide his breath. Li Fan admitted Subhuti's words. Even he could barely catch a little bit of the flow of the air. Since the last time Li Fan dealt with Yu Hang, he always spread his true energy around, like a protective layer. Although it was only 1 meter around his body, it was also a good precaution. Li Fan also used this method to consume and replenish his true energy to train himself. The Kaga sect cultivates the psychic art. Each of them has spiritual power. Benefactor Li, you have to be careful. Subhuti didn't know where he heard so much, but he told it to Li Fan. I got it. Although he didn't know what the hell spiritual power was, Li Fan was still vigilant of Kaga Hashimoto's movements. He let his true energy spread out quickly to prevent Kaga Hashimoto from harming Liu Xinnan. More ninjas are coming up. Li Fan pointed to the east wall. Liu Xinnan, order the red dragon archers to shoot over there. Liu Xinnan immediately snapped her fingers, and all of the scarlet dragon archers aimed their arrows at the eastern wall, drawing their bows and firing together. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. These arrows were shot into the air. The devil incarnate was a little surprised. What are they shooting at? But in the blink of an eye, several figures were shot out of the air. They screamed and fell from the wall. I'm really sorry, this road is blocked. Li Fan stood on the balcony with his hands behind his back and said slowly, Oh right. Military Advisor Jiang, what did you say just now? Say it again. Fatty Jiang was sitting below, his face turned green. It could be said that Kaga Hashimoto's assassination team had never failed before. But this time, a small team was actually shot to death. This team was trained with a lot of money. It was all money, all money. Fatty Jiang's heart ached. The most important thing was that he hadn't even saved them yet. Can we talk about our deal again? Li Fan looked at Fatty Jiang in the distance. Let my brother go, I won't say it again. Li Fan, before Fatty Jiang finished speaking, Xia Hu's figure suddenly appeared on the truck. At the same time, he used Sui Han San Yu. The sword shadow shot out 3 cold lights towards the chains on Huang Lei's body, but at this time, another woman's figure appeared in front of Xia Hu. Her 5 fingers hit the sword and immediately bounced it away. Snake fist. Xia Hu held her sword and flew back 3 to 4 meters before landing on the ground. The surrounding fire hall elites did not hesitate and immediately pulled the trigger. Crossbow arrows pierced through the night sky and shot towards Xia Hu. However, Xia Hu held her charming gentle sword and brandished it in front of her, creating a sword wall that bounced off the crossbow bolts that were shooting at her. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.